Of the reorganization. Here's, this is the current one.
That's the current one. We'll probably have one vote different than that one.
Oh, really? I thought they ignored that.
We'll have a meeting next week.
Are you going to meet next week?
No.
Oh, no.
It's milk day.
Okay.
Milk lunch.
Milk day.
I just take that abbreviation for MLK, milk. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to have Debbie Boyd start us off on the Pledge of Allegiance today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, welcome to 2018. There's a thing going around on the internet saying that if you can run, walk, or ride a bike, turn 2018 miles, that's a goal. Let us know how that turns out. Commissioners, Ed, you had the opportunity to look at the minutes.
I'll move that the minutes for the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners for Montezuma County, Colorado, December 18th, 2017, be approved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the proceedings of the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners for December 18th, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second on the agenda is going to be reorganization of the Board of County Commissioners as well as the appointments. We'll go right now to the Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioner of Deeds. I've been the Commissioner for 2 years. It's time for another commission. I've been the Chairman for 2 years, and it's time to reorganize. So, Commissioner Lambert, you're the Vice Chair. Would you like to be the Chair of the Commissioners? Commissioner Attell, would you like to be the Vice Chair?
That'd be fine by me.
I'd love to be a deed. So,
I'll move that Commissioner James Lambert move to the position of Chairman of the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Ertel move into the Vice Chair seat, and Commissioner Supla move into the Chairman of the Deeds.
I'll second.
there's been a motion and a second to make the Chair for the Montezuma County Commissioners Commissioner Lambert, the Vice Chair Commissioner Attell, and the Commissioner of Deeds Commissioner Schull. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, sir.
I'll get you some training on the Commissioner of Deeds.
Yeah, I need some.
I'll prim him. I'll give him a primer on that. Yeah.
We can change. We can change.
Change it there, okay. That being said, we also have the county attorney is John Baxter, the county administrator is Melissa Brunner, county road and bridge supervisor is Rob Englehart, director of social services Josiah Faulkner, director of public health agency is Roberta Locke, veterans affairs officer is Rick Torres, landfill manager is Shaq Powers, emergency manager is Paul Haller, the legal publications is left blank is now Region 9 Economic Development Board. I'm participating on that. Oh, you already have it.
I've got them blank because I didn't know how you wanted to distribute those for.
Do you guys want any changes or keep the same?
Well, since we're not funding, are we still going to have a place on the Region 9 Economic Board if we're not funding them?
We did get an email from Laura Marchano, and said that we still have a spot on the board even if we're not paying members.
Okay. All right.
The only thing I can say about that is I kind of feel uncomfortable having a position on that board when all the other entities are funding and we're not.
But I think they've got a lot. There are a number of people there that are at-large people, like Dwayne Finley. There's other people that are members of that board that are at-large people that aren't contributing, that aren't financially contributors to that. So if they offer us a seat to remain on that board, then I think we take advantage of it.
And I think more than anything, it's also a chance to hear what they're doing and
Right,
things like
right.
that as being part of that board.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
How do you feel, Commissioner?
I would agree with that.
Right.
The one that I indicated, so I need to drop out.
Okay. So, Commissioner Schull, would you like to stay on as Region
I
9? Okay. Then I'd like to leave that as it stands.
Kim, did I give you both of these? The one that was completed and that blank one, so if there were changes, thank you.
Is there any other changes that the commissioners would like to entertain?
Do you still need to name the alternates and all that on all the different?
I guess we probably should.
I put it up here blank, and
Okay.
I think I have.
Do you know what the alternates are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's what the currently is. Let me pull it up here. And I can't read that. Oops. So we start with Region 9. We had Commissioner Sukla. Curtella's the alternate. Southwest TPR, that's another one that we're not funding.
Yes, and I haven't heard anything from the COG lady that's head of the TPR sent out a notice that we had not chosen to fund them again. So I'm planning to go to their next TPR meeting, so I will find out how they're going to view us and what regard they're going to view us in that. So we'll see what they do.
So we have Commissioner Ertel on that with.
Yeah, and I would like to stay with that if we still have a place on that board. I'd still like to stay with that.
And then AAA is Keenan. Are those are not related, but they're a lot of the same people?
On
AAA
AAA?
versus TPR? No?
No, AAA is totally a whole different
Okay.
ball of wax, yeah.
So that was currently Commissioner Ertel with the alternate Mr. Lambert. Southwest Workforce. Are you an officer of that?
I'm now their, I was their LEO, which is locally elected official. Now I'm their, what have they changed it? It's same elected official, but I'm their primary elected official on that board.
So that one probably ought to stay.
Probably ought to stay the same, yeah.
Do we need an alternate?
Yeah, and an alternate.
It says
oh, yeah.
no, we have no alternate on that one right now.
Yeah.
And I think because he's the elected one, I don't think any of us
No,
could
it'd have
step
to
in
be,
his
it'd have to be
place.
another commissioner.
Yeah,
It would
so-
have to be a commissioner. So which one of you boys want to be the alternate? James? Okay. We'll make James the alternate.
Housing Authority?
Well,
So,
I've been in that fight since day one. I'd like
and
to
we
continue.
need to keep you in that, yeah.
They're in the process of purchasing the Calkins building, and so yeah, there's. I'd like to partake in that.
Yeah.
I see some waste, and I would like to.
Stay there, and you're there.
I've got an issue with the school where their school has the cooler there where they keep all of the cold foods for the schools, and there was an agreement where it would be rented out for $50 whoever bought the Calkins building for 20 years with an automatic renewal for 20 years, $50 a year. And I disagree with that agreement.
That's a little
And it's a whole warehouse. I mean, it's got.
It's a whole
cooler.
building, that's it,
It's-
yeah.
But it's
Right.
got.
Is it the old
coolers-
band building down there?
No, it's off of Second Street.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the back side of the soccer field.
Mm-hmm, down
That
on
building.
the west end of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a huge building.
Why would you buy something and then write an agreement like that without a way of getting out of it for 20
20
years?
years.
Actually, 40 years.
At that rate especially, that's, my gosh. Okay. Have you heard what Makeda's gonna do, James?
I'm no longer on the board, but more I've thought about what Makeda does, they do nothing for the county, really, so as far as I'm concerned. That was reiterated to me, that they are, well, the only thing they're interested in is the businesses that are in the 3 towns.
Yeah, you know, there was a move by the Chamber of Commerce to try and coordinate or go together with Makeda, and you know, we've got these entities out there that are all working in the same direction and the same, and we're funded. You know, it just didn't make any sense why they couldn't find a way to kind of cooperate with each other. So maybe this will prompt something like that.
For me, if, as a commissioner, say the Region 9, we give Region 9, it was it $7,000, $4,000?
It was like
15,000.
5,200.
5,200, we was giving Makeda 13,000.
15, almost 15,000.
15,000. It's a real simple question. What does the county get for the $15,000? What does the county get for the $5,400? Those should be questions asked of those entities, because it's the taxpayers' money that is being given to them. I mean, if we give $5,000, do we get $10,000 in return?
Benefits
Or is it like?
And I know economic development's hard to gauge and it's hard to judge and hard to measure, but I think
And
we
they
haven't.
made it very clear that they're not interested in promoting business outside of the city.
Well, we wasted a lot of taxpayer
Makes
money
it
in the
pretty
last few
simple, doesn't
years.
Makes it pretty simple.
So that one drops. Then we go to Housing Solutions. That's a quarterly meeting in Durango. Is that correct, James?
Yes,
You good with staying there, James?
yes.
Okay.
It has Commissioner
Larry
Supple as
Don,
the
your
alternate. Ute Mountain Council meetings. That hasn't.
You need to fire me. We've been totally unsuccessful in getting any kind of a, we've had a couple of close calls and a couple that may have been, but I don't know how we get,
Yeah.
how we get to
through
communicating
that.
with them, what we gotta do to get communicating with them, so. I guess keep trying.
Keep it as a trial.
Yeah.
Lower Dolores River Group.
I would like to stay on that. They're kind of dead in the water right now, but if that group's ever revived, I would like to stay on that. It's the one pushing the national conservation area, where all the environmental groups get a say and outnumber the locals. So I would like to stay in that fight.
Cool. And the last one's Club 20.
And I think that's a misprint, because I think James we appointed you last time to
Right.
be the, I
So
think we've
at
got that
least
just
this will
reversed, right,
flop.
right.
Club 20 should be Commissioner Lambert.
Yeah, it should be Commissioner Lambert and I was the alternate. Right.
Are you good with that, Commissioner Levin?
Yeah.
Well, would we entertain a motion then to,
Do we need an alternate on the TPR?
Oh, do we need a
That we
TPR?
had an alternate on the TPR before? Where is
I think we did. I think Larry Don was the alternate, wasn't he?
yeah, but can I say this? So when
Yeah.
you haven't been able to make it, I believe that our road supervisor has went.
Yes, we've had
Yeah.
Rob do that, and I think
I
that,
think he would be the best for the alternate.
okay, yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, yeah. Let's-
Who knows more about the roads,
Roads
than him?
in it, yeah, exactly. Yeah, be careful how you say that.
So we'll change that. Are you okay with that, Commissioner Lambert?
Yeah, so we'll change the alternate on TPR to,
Plus, after BB, they don't like me very good. So.
They might not like as much after 21 either.
All right, well, which should we entertain a motion then with those changes?
Yep.
I'll move that. You want me to list the changes over again?
I think if you
I
just-
think we're good enough.
Melissa's got it
I think
corrected.
Tim's got them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll move that the changes that were made and the recommendations made by the board for all of the other organizations outside of the county organization be approved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the existing county administration as well as with the proper changes, as well as the alternate meetings that the commissioners attend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Debbie? Boyd, you're up.
Well,
Good morning.
Aye.
I put her on as on a public comment for her to explain the situation that she dealt with.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This,
Sit right
this
down
is a picture of, or a copy, whatever. That's the piece of property that Mike bought me. It borders out by Bird and Raymond's property, and I love it. It's my dream property. When I go out there, time flies by. During the summer, I've been spraying reeds, killing rabbit brush, and when it gets cool, I work down in the tree area, and I trim them and pick up rocks, and I love it. And I usually work down in the trees when it's cold because the trees kind of protect you from the wind. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was out there, and I was where the X is. I call that Rock Island, and there's a reason. And I was picking up rocks with the backhoe, and I'm doing a dry creek bed. And while I was there, where Road DD is, it's up there at the top, there was a helicopter that went past me going west, and it was real low. And I thought, I thought maybe he's looking at the road or something. Then it turned where Raymond's property is,
Over
Raymond
there.
Boyd, my father-in-law, and it went south, and it's still real low, and then it turned and it headed back toward me. And I thought, this is weird. And it wasn't really going straight, it was going like this. And I was, from where I was like a 50-yard dash. I know what that looks like. From the trees, and it was right on top of the trees. And then you can see that clearing there in the trees.
In between them
Yeah.
here? Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, there was a bunch of elk that ran out there. And then this helicopter kept coming and coming. And so I got in the backhoe with my dog and sat there. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was underneath the power transmission line or whatever. I was underneath that. So the helicopter was not only close to me, it was really close to that line. And when the helicopter, it went past me, it was so low, my dog started barking at it. And then it went past me a little ways, and then it turned around and came back. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And when it came back, the elk went through, the elk went back west. And when they went through, there was this great big huge cloud of dust. I don't know how many there was. I couldn't see, I couldn't count them. Anyway, when I just thought it was weird. And so I the Raymond was at home. And so I seen elk go out through the field, but the few elk that I could see in this great big cloud of dust, which Berta could see the cloud of dust from her house, which is a half a mile away. They're down and their mouth was open, and I thought, that was the most terrible thing I've ever seen.
So this helicopter was running those elk? Was he chasing them in that helicopter?
Well, so I called 911. Raymond wasn't home. I called 911. I don't call 911. And I told them there's somebody out here. I thought they was pretty drunk. And they're harassing the elk. Not counting. They just ran up to our fence. And so she told me, it was DOW. And I said, there ain't no way. They wouldn't treat animals like that. I mean, if animal activists would have seen what I seen, they'd have fit. And she said, no, it's DOW. And so I didn't see where on the helicopter went. I know at one point they went out south from the tree area, and then they turned around and kind of went back. And anyway, he was past me, so I didn't think they was going to hit me. And then I was looking down there in the trees, and it dawned on me that normally during this time of the year, I'm down there in the trees working. I would have been trampled by those elk. And so I thought, what about me? What about my health, my wealth, my property? So I called the sheriff's office. And what she told me, no, it's DOW. And they both said that they would have DOW call me or the pilot call me or and stuff. And I was like, there's something wrong with this picture here. I could have been trampled on my own property, and if I would have did to those elk what they did, I would have went to jail.
So did they ever give you an explanation of what they were doing?
No, they've never called me back. The 911 and the sheriff's office said they were counting them. I couldn't count them in with all that dust. But when Raymond came home, he said he's seen 200 elk out in the field. Not ours, but out in the field. And the other people said there's been about 200 elk that stay in those trees. But even a dumb Okie knows that if you want to count the elk, go sit up there on the road every evening about dark. They come right out. They eat. They drink. You could have took binoculars. They've got cameras. They could have did it slow. Even I know that. So I don't think it was about counting elk. And then, so the sheriff's office told me there's nothing they could do, that DOW can come on my property anytime they want, and they can look at stuff in my vehicle or whatever. And so I'm like, goodness sakes. So the more I think about it, the more upset I get. Then I find out none of us in our family drew out for hunting. But Mike told somebody that they could hunt on our property. And come to find out, DOW walked in on our property. The reason they walked in is because we have a locked gate. And they walked in on our property and wanted to see their hunting license. They're hunting. It's hunting season. I mean, if you thought they did something, wait till they come out or whatever else. And then I got to thinking about, oh my word, this is my deal. I like working down in these trees and stuff. What if I'd have been in those trees and some man would have come walking across the field? It would have scared me half to death. To tell you the truth, I'd rather be trampled by 200 elk than assaulted by a man. And so, my mind just started whirling. And there again, what about my property rights? My health, my safety? And, so I called the sheriff Tuesday, and he was really nice, and he was upset what had happened, to me. Because that helicopter, that was a weird deal. And but he said there's nothing that he could do because they have the right to come on my property and they can search. And I'm like, I don't know where that is in the Constitution. And we've had people who gave their life so that we could live here in America and be free, and that's why we have our Constitution. And the role of government should be to secure my rights, not harass me. And so I've been really, I know you can tell, I'm really troubled about this. And which Mike went back out with me, and which I'm still going to work in my property, and I'm not going to have a babysitter. I'm going to figure this out. But Mike went back out there with me, and which this is like what I do up in the trees. I put barriers around trees, and the elk and stuff don't bother them. And I have a blast. But anyway, there was 4 places in our fence where all 4 wires are gone. This is a place where they went through, so you can kind of see. That's by the pond. You can kind of see the footprints, and there was no cows in this. This is just, you know,
All elk.
all elk, and this is, you can't really see very good about the fence, but
Oh, yeah.
Raymond, he's redone the fence on Road CC for Mike. Took out the sagebrush and redid it, and it's not. That's not been very long ago. And one of the places there, they were bent, and all 4 wires is gone. And there's one place where one post is completely broke. And I mean, you can look all through.
Well, have you shown this to the Division of Wildlife?
They haven't even returned my call. And but the thing to me about this, it's not about the fence. It's not even really about if I would have got trampled by a whole bunch of elk. It's about my right to own and control my own property. I don't want somebody coming on there, harassing me. See, even the sheriff, if the sheriff came on my property, he'd have to have probable cause and a search warrant.
John, doesn't somebody have to show cause for them to enter your property for? They can't just come on there asking to search you or look at your vehicle or search your home or.
Yeah, I can't imagine a scenario where they have the right to look at your property.
Well,
they absolutely don't have the right to destroy your fence, or to, if you trespass, I don't know. But, I mean, I'm not your attorney, and I think you'd want to talk to an attorney about it. You did the right thing by calling the SO, and, I'm not sure that the SO can't do anything about it, but the commissioners can't make the SO do anything, and this is either, an FAA thing with the helicopter, or, or a sheriff thing.
The sheriff did give me a number for the FAA, and I called them, and they said, well, they don't have no jurisdiction, that you'd have to, go through Salt Lake. And so, this is Mike and them, they did a fence down through the trees. They cleared, both sides of the fence, like 10 feet. And then up above the fence, he puts a place where there's 2 wire gates, so you can open it up so they could go through. And then there's one there's one going north, one going south, and then one going west. But you can see the post right there.
Laying down.
When you get chased by a helicopter, I guess you just
don't look for the gate.
I guess not. And but my deal is, I think this is about our property rights, and I do believe you guys are men of honor. And I don't know how to go about it. I thought in America we were free, and history's proved out that sometimes it's people's own government that can do terrible things to them. And I've been watching what's happening with the Bundys and Lavoy Finicum with these government. It seems like these government agencies have power and authority that not even elected officials have. And so I'm asking you to please, stand up for our property rights, do whatever we can. I mean, are we at the place, that our grandkids aren't going to be able to go out and enjoy? I mean, where are we at? There's a lot here that's at stake. We work, we pay taxes, and we just want to enjoy the fruit of our labor, And I did call Don Quorum's office, and I haven't got a call back. And DOW, I called in Durango, I called Colorado, Denver, and nothing, nothing. And but this is sad.
When is Matt Thorpe supposed to meet with us again,
I put the schedule out, but I can I can find that date and get you that information.
Yeah.
So-
Maybe we can ask him too and say, hey, we heard about this scenario.
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you would have talked to the attorney because you probably have some sort of
Okay,
rights that you could enforce.
but you know, there again, to me, it's not just about my own personal loss. This is about our rights. That we have a Third and a Fourth Amendment in the Constitution for something. Our representatives who are elected by the people, they should stand up for our constitutional rights. They've taken an oath to do that. You know, and I cannot tell you that all of this damage to the fence happened right then. I couldn't see. Once they went past that clearing, I couldn't see. I was overwhelmed. But I can tell you this, what I call down past the trees, the south pasture. Mike had that rented out last summer. There was cows in there all summer, and they did just fine in there. I'm not going to tell you that fence was all brand new. Now the one on Road CC, Raymond did it, and but you know, there was cows in there, and they did just fine. And there's no way there's going to have to be a lot of work done before cows can be in there. But you know, I want to feel like that if I'm in the trees and I'm working, that somebody just can't come up to me. And if DOW has more authority than the sheriff, I mean, where's it going to stop? Is he going to come up and say, you know, I think there's something in your shirt, take it off? Am I safe in the outhouse? I mean, where does DOW stop? And I was talking to people and I said, is this something state or is this something federal? And you know what? People weren't really sure.
Well, if it's DOW, it's state. I mean, that part of it is state governed, which we're a branch of the state, and I think you know, this is our first awareness of this, and I think we have some questions to ask of the DOW representative that comes in here and represents that department to us, and how they do that and how they manage their game. And but I don't feel that on a person's private land they have any business doing that kind of an operation on, even though those elk are under their purvey and under their there to look after those and manage those herds, but not to the not.
Oh, that was terrible.
Well, I think we've got some definite questions we need to be asking our
Yeah.
DOW people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, well,
I would just say that my family has dealt with the DOW all their lives, with the Disappointment Valley and how the elk migrate from the mountains down into the valley. One picture you had was very telling, and it was a picture of your pond, and it was the tracks going to the pond. And so what's going on there is you're actually helping their elk because they're watering out of your pond. I was over on Monogram, which is over by the basin, just here 4 or 5 days ago, and I was coming out almost at dark over on the Snyder permit, and they're hauling, they must have, I don't know, 1,500 head of cattle there, and they must have 40 or 50 water troughs, and they have that wildlife area where it says it's down there in the basin, the state wildlife area. And what's amazing is if you've ever been down there at night, hundreds of deer. And guess where they were all going? To that rancher's water tanks, because they was the one that was taking care of those elk. So you're the one that's taking care of the elk. You should. I was over there talking to the Weimers over in Nucla here 4 or 5 days ago. They asked for game damages. They were 2 years ago, and they're still waiting to get the game damages from the Department of the Wildlife officials. But my cousin, they sold a bear tag to him up there on South Mountain where my family owns property, and to his wife shot the bear, and then the Division of Wildlife, you have to go through 7 lock gates. You go through the beach property to get up to the top of South Mountain. Said, well, we don't think that she was capable of shooting the bear, that you shot the bear, to my cousin, which my cousin's like, well, you shouldn't have sold a bear license to my wife if you thought that she wasn't capable of shooting a bear. And they actually went and cut the fence, and they came up there twice to meet with him. except for they didn't show up when they said they were going to meet him, so he left 2 different times, and he ended up getting a fine for shooting the bear when she shot the bear. So I would love to bring this up with Matt Thorpe, which is the regional director in Durango. Another thing that happened was, and we asked this 3 or 4 months ago, was there was a young kid that took his brother's pickup from Duff Creek, and he was down hunting sheds down in the valley, and he got pulled over by the Division of Wildlife, and they ended up impounding the truck for speeding. And Matt Thorpe told us right here that none of the Division of Wildlife officers have a radar gun. So how do you give a speeding ticket to somebody if you don't have a radar gun? So I'm with you.
You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that work for DLW that are really nice, really thoughtful, and they wouldn't do anything wrong. But history's proven that when you give somebody a lot of authority, absolute authority corrupts absolutely. There is people who like to be in positions of power, whatever, and they can abuse that power. And I don't want to feel so afraid that I can't go onto my property without having somebody come and babysit me. And you know, I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm just saying I don't think they should have a power. If something is wrong for me, I think it should be wrong for them.
Raymond, you'd like to?
I'd like to address that a little bit further if I could. I've lived where I've lived for 58 years, 59 years, and I've seen a train of abuse with the DOW for the last especially 25 years. Seems as though they feel at liberty to come on our property whenever they choose. Without a warrant, without any permission, they don't come to us. They cross the fence and they go in. And I don't know what the law altogether that they feel like they're operating under. But I know whatever it is does not trump my constitutional rights and my Fourth Amendment rights. And I want to read to us out, if I may, out of the Declaration of Independence to start with for the foundation of my thoughts. It said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. But among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to secure these rights, governments are instituted." They're instituted to secure our rights, right? "Among men deriving just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it." I believe we came to the point that I see a train of abuse that is destructive to our property and to our rights. Farther on down, it said here, "But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is the right, it is the duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future security." I believe it's time that we throw off those types of tyranny and abuse. As I've said, I've lived there 58, 59 years. And I have seen them come on my property. They've come on Mike's property. They've come on a number of other private properties there. And I believe they're operating under the color of law. And when I'm saying that, I believe it's a pretended law that they operate under. And as I've done some research, I believe they're operating under the old common law of the open field rule. And I don't know, you may know all about that. I don't know. But what I've looked at under the open field rule is that if private property does not have a boundary fence, if private property does not have signs that's posted private property, if it does not have gates across the entryways into that property, then if the public comes onto that property, they are not liable for trespass. And under that open fields rule, law officials could go on to private property and make arrests and do searches if there was no evidence of private property. But if there was a fence for a boundary, that is pure evidence that that is off limits to the public. If there's gates across the entryways, that is pure evidence that the public it's off limit to the public. If there's posted signs, then that's off limits. That's evidence. And anyone going beyond those signs across that boundary fence, across the locked gates, is liable for trespass. The law officials are not above the law. Today, if a private individual was to cross the fence, they're liable for trespass. If they go behind locked gates, they're liable for trespass. I believe the same law applies to the law officials. That if they cross that boundary fence without permission, if they go behind those no trespassing signs, private property signs, they're liable for trespass. They're not above the law. You and I know that if I would have flown a helicopter into that herd of elk and surrounded that herd of elk and drove them through the fences, I would have been charged with wildlife harassment. No doubt in my mind. The reason I have no doubt in my mind is because my grandson, 2 years ago, was riding a four-wheeler on Mike's property during hunting season. He was on the road on private property. He had permission to be there. And he jumped out some deer that run out across the field ahead of him. The game warden come down in our property, on Mike's property, come down in the property, in his pickup, and wrote him a ticket for game harassment. And because he did not have his gun in a hard case on a four-wheeler on private property, he wrote him a ticket. My grandson said, "I'm going to fight it." And when he decided to fight it, they dropped the charges. So I know that they will charge you for harassment. And if I would have done what they done, I would have been charged for harassment. I've fixed fence behind those elk and their game for over 40 years. I've never received 1 penny of compensation. Never. They can drive up and down the roads, and they do, and they can see where those elk have run through the fence. If they had any common decency about them, they would come to you, and they would ask, and they would volunteer to take care of the problem. A year ago, I went to Sheriff Nowlin, and I told him what the problems were. And he said, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it." But he said, "This will I do. I will call Fish and Game, and I will set up an appointment that you and I and the Fish and Game will have a meeting, and we will discuss these situations." Over a year ago, I've never heard a word. I talked with Mr. Nowlin last week, and he mentioned it. And he asked me if Fish and Game had ever called, and I said no, and they have not in over a year. We have never been compensated for any of the damages that they've done. And I feel like that it's time that these things are changed in this county, that they are liable for the destruction, for the private property that they destroy, and I think they're liable to follow the law just like I am. and that they are not above the law. And they only have a right to come on our private property with a warrant and probable cause. I thank you for your time, and I'd like your consideration for these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else would like to comment, public comment? Yes, Mr. Kemp.
Greg Kemp, Road 35 in Mancos. I've been on the board of directors for CADA, Economic Development Association, ever since it started. It is organized to be, the board consists of 5 members of the representatives from the governmental entities, the county, the tribe, and the 3 towns. There's also membership for 5 business entities from anywhere in the county, and membership for 5 single proprietors or interested individuals like myself. Commissioner Lambert's statement that the Maqueda has never done anything for the county is absolutely, completely, totally false. Several years ago, Maqueda was directed by the county commissioners to look into promoting Montezuma County as a location for solar farms. That went nowhere. Currently, Empire Electric has 2 solar arrays under consideration. One they are going to drop because there's no way economically that it can be supported. More recently, Maqueda was directed specifically by the county commissioners to promote the vote to drop out of Senate Bill 152, so that there could be so that the voters would give the county commissioners permission to form a public-private partnership to bring high-speed internet to Montezuma County, because that's the primary means of increasing economic development and quality of life for people who live throughout the county. Nothing has happened since that vote. So to say that Maqueda has not done nothing for the county is absolutely, totally untrue. Maqueda has done exactly what the county commissioners have asked each time they've asked them, and there's been no follow-up on the part of the county commissioners. So to say that Maqueda doesn't do anything for the county is wrong. The reason it was started was because there was friction between the 2 towns, and the county was not involved. Stop that friction and get cooperation among all 3 towns and the county. And we have a board meeting on Wednesday of this week. 3 o'clock. I will bring up this statement and ask that our new executive director and perhaps the president come and address the county commissioners and clear up this misunderstanding that Maqueda has done nothing for the county, because that's totally, absolutely, positively not true. Thank you.
Can I respond to that, Greg?
Of course.
The first meeting I went to with Maqueda, this was when the solar farms idea was being dealt with here.
Yes.
And we asked the current chairman at that time if James Dietrich could come and make a presentation. He said no. He said we don't have anything to do with anything outside of the cities. They're not excuse me, outside of the businesses. All that they were interested in was the current businesses. They weren't interested in promoting anything new. He made that very clear to me. I will rescind what I think I said was that the Maqueda does nothing for the county now. That's what, I didn't say now. That's what I meant. But I'll rescind it if it's a misunderstanding, because Maqueda did a good job of trying to promote the project. They did a very good job, and I've told the current chairman this, that they did a good job of that. But she also turned around and told me again that the only interest that Maqueda had was in promoting businesses that are in the area now. She's not interested in promoting anything in the county.
That is correct. It's not to say that not promoting anything in the county, but Maqueda's never been involved, never been interested in trying to recruit businesses to this area. It doesn't work. Maqueda's focus has always been on doing whatever they can to encourage existing businesses to stay here and to expand. So that's what you're saying is very true. They've never been involved in recruiting for businesses. The current version, previous versions did that and it didn't work. So that is true. That's what Maqueda's focus is, and that includes businesses in the county as well as in the various towns.
Well, what I said was within that, those discussions that we had with the previous chairman, and not the last one, the one before, and the current. And if this is the mission, then the county doesn't have any business supporting it.
So the county doesn't want to support existing businesses. Is that what you're saying?
You've got Chamber of Commerce, and you've got other outfits promoting the businesses.
The towns.
If they want to promote the businesses, this is fine. But so far as if you go to the city council, they don't. There's a division, very big division between the city and the county, and there's been an effort with this board to try and break that division, but it hasn't happened. And so Maqueda is basically staying in line with the current.
Well, as I said, I'll be happy to have the current executive director and the president of Maqueda. I'll bring it up at the meeting on Wednesday. I'll be happy to have them come here and explain what Maqueda does, what Maqueda has always done, what Maqueda is going to continue to do, and they are interested in promoting, in encouraging existing businesses to stay here. And if a new business were to inquire, particularly in the county, we certainly have a rapid response team that would help them find the right people to talk to be able to create their business.
Josie made a good presentation to the commissioners.
Okay, well, there seems to be some misunderstanding, so I'll have it come back again.
Well, what I'm stating is based on what I've been told by the chairman of the Maqueda, which is fine. I'm not downplaying Maqueda. I'm just saying that the county has been providing most of the finance for that. And as Commissioner O'Tell said a while ago, we need to, as a county, we need to be looking at what we get back from these organizations that we've been supporting.
Yeah, and so I don't know how you measure when businesses expand within the county. I don't know how you put numbers to that. I don't know. I don't know how you measure that.
Well, it's measured by. If it's a commercial enterprise and they're expanding, you would hope that they're expanding their physical. The only way we benefit is by the commercial assessment on the commercial properties as they expand and grow. And so that's a very measurable. That's a very, very measurable tool.
And if they employ more people in the same facility,
Right.
I don't know how you measure that.
Well, you measure it by what they were doing in 2015 and how many employees they have in 2018.
And that's what we look at.
Yeah. So.
So I'll bring that up and get it clarified for you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Public comment? All right, seeing none, we will bring up Rob Englehart, which is the Montezuma County Road Supervisor, for his brief presentation, because we ran out of time.
Did you get enough moisture to help you on any roads, buddy?
Not really.
Not really. Came on Sunday anyway,
I
didn't
do
it?
need to hurry though, don't I?
Sorry.
Well, don't worry
We've
about it.
got some extra time, so we're okay.
We've got a cancellation
We have a
at 10:30.
cancel,
We're
30-minute
good.
cancellation.
Oh,
so we're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You just blow all the steam you want to blow.
Actually, it's going pretty good.
Going good?
Haven't
That's
seen you guys in a couple of weeks.
good. Yeah, it's been a spell.
It's been busy. So we'll start with our schedule. Cortez District is pulling shoulders on Road P. We got started on that last week and decided with the weather conditions to go forward and continue working towards it, getting ready for chip seal. Again, you know, it could get wet, it could get a little muddy, but with the weather conditions and the forecast, I don't see how we can not move forward with it. So we started pulling ditches, pulling up all the old sod and pulling up everything, shaping it and cleaning ditches and cattails as we go. And we'll go all the way from 145 to 491 that way across P.
Go all the way up.
Right, and then our goal is to be hopefully by the 16th, right after the holiday, to start putting gravel on that road and get it in. That's even better because if we get some winter moisture on it later in the
then
spring,
it'll just
it'll just set
set
it
up
right
good,
down.
won't it?
Right. So moving forward with it, it is a little different than what we normally do this time of year. So we're kind of in a semi-winter mode, but still doing this kind of work. It's working good. We also got CenturyLink to get rid or move that fiber optic line on Road L out of the way.
I see they've got that out of the ditch there.
Yeah,
on the north side.
they got it off the top of the culvert and they got it moved as far over as they can get it. But we're still going to have to do something there. It's banjo tight, and so when we come up with the culvert, it's still in the way. So what they're probably going to do there is we'll put a sleeve under the culvert when we come up, and then they'll come back and they'll cut that section out and put a pull box on each side, 50, 60 foot east and west of that, and just put 2 splices in. As bad as it is on that fiber optic, that's about all they can do there.
Yeah.
And that'll put it underneath the culvert with the rest of the utilities. So everything will be hopefully where we want it by the time this is all done. So by the 16th of this month, we'd like to get in there, start on that culvert, get it put in, and then be ready for grinding that up probably in March when we start the other grindings, and we'll grind that whole lower end, build it up, and then be ready for the asphalt. So, pardon me? You widen that out there. Yes, yeah, we'll definitely widen that out. We're going to move them culverts. We're going to put new culverts basically from fence to fence. We're working with the landowner on the north side to go in there and reroute that drain ditch through there.
Ben the other day.
Yeah.
Is that what you were visiting
Yeah,
with them
that's what we
about?
were visiting about. Yeah, moving that ditch around a little bit and getting it where it lines up better with that culvert and make it where we can do all that and make it wide down through there. So, yep.
What, since you're going to be having, renting the grinder, what else you grinding?
Road 25 from Lebanon School to 184. That's
Oh,
at
yeah.
2.7 miles. And then Road W out at Lewis from 491 clear over to 19. That gets all ground up. So that's what Cortez is doing. And then Mancos, they've been working on Road 42. That's that section of Jackson Lake Road that got soft with that water underneath it. So there's about 0.6 of a mile there. We're pulling all the ditches on it, getting all the cattails and the drainage working again on it. I'll probably have to dig my pockets here a little bit on that one, but we'd like to grind it up too this spring and grind it up and rebuild it and build it up some and then maybe put some asphalt over that in the future. But that is down through that big lake, or there's a big pond there and a lot of drainage, and it's just a bad area. And the only thing I can do with that is fix the drainage back where it was originally and then just leave it open for a while, maybe one summer and then pave it.
I think asphalt will do a better job of bridging them kind of spots and put some fabric in it and do it that way. So that's going to be a little bit of a project there for those folks, but we won't let it go for years like we have some of these other ones. We'll get that fixed pretty quick. Along with that, Mancos today has got the trucks and they're graveling roads 39.2, 39.4, 42.5, and 44. These are little short pools. I think we can get them done in 2 or 3 days if it don't rain us out Wednesday, and get those all done. And the Mancos is pretty much gravelled out and they're in pretty good shape. Dolores is working on some drainage issues on Road S going up to the pit. We've got some real seepage problems there this year with ice, and so we're working on some of that. They're also going to drop down and help Cortez with the gravel spread while they're putting culverts in on Road L. They'll be spreading gravel on Road P, and then they got some trees and brush that they're working on along the way. Roundup District is working on Road Z from 21 to 22, working across there, reshaping that for future gravel. We also did a lot of graveling out on Road BB and 8 on those corners, like we said. I was glad we got it done. It's a long pull, a lot of long ways to haul gravel, but we did get those corners built up. Future work there is to get in between the corners now, haul some hay camp gravel in, cover up that Ormiston gravel, and get that whole thing done in the future. But at least the corners are done where you come out of a corner and you pull a hill and it just tears it up, and that no binding gravel will hold. So we hope that'll help the corners anyway for now. Crushing, we're still trying to rescreen some old dirty chips up there with the weather the way it is. That's kind of slow. We do a little bit at a time, take off the dry stuff, and then we wait a while, let it air out, and do some more. But we're getting there. We're getting it done. They're also working on their maintenance on the crusher, and then moving topsoil around, and probably we'll start moving that plant down to Macamo around the Tuesday the 16th. Somewhere in there, we'll start shifting that equipment that way. So that's where we're at now, and moving forward. If it doesn't rain too much or snow too much, we'll continue. If it does, we'll plow roads. So.
And all of your paving projects are all scheduled for this coming year?
Yeah, they are. We're probably looking at doing some chip sealing in June on the early ones, like Road P, and then August with the later ones, like Road 25 and all that. Somewhere in there, we still got to throw some gravel on the Dolores Norwood Road. So.
And Road L was still on, I'm not Road L, 29? To M, I thought I seen that was on for an overlay.
No, we were thinking about it, but we're going to do L. L took precedence over 29 this year. I think I'll try to do that one next year, though, from 160 north to Road L or M, somewhere in there. I think we can overlay that road without tearing it all out and redoing it. So that'll be next year's idea. So. We did get
back to Road L. I'm sorry. So Road L, the boundaries of what the city owns and what the county owns. We're paving what we own.
Yeah, but I'm not doing cities. So yeah, that's up there by the Elks Lodge.
Okay.
Yeah, and they go from there over half a mile.
Yeah,
a mile.
not even that. You just basically get over the top of that
There's
hill
a sign
before you
there,
drop
right.
down. And
So from there over, we pave that, right. So we'll work that, and then I want to work that intersection on Road 25 a little more too.
So have you talked to the city to see if they want?
No, but I'm going to give Phil a call. We'll see what Phil says. I mean, I met with Marty last week. He's still on vacation with Four Corners. He'll be off this week. We're going to try to get together and go for a little drive and figure out some of our approaches into like a subdivision there. Road 25 intersection, I need to do some work on that. I need to put a culvert in. We want to do some overlay there because last year we got a little soft. For nothing more than just thin. You know, we just don't have a lot of asphalt there, and that heavy traffic and them concrete trucks is moving it around a little bit.
Yeah.
So we want to do a little bit of work like that right there.
But it makes sense that if we're already going to there, that the city participate with their money and resources and pave it the rest of the way.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Especially since the newspaper came out that they had a 7% increase in their sales tax revenue.
That, and then they've been doing a lot of work in there. You know, one contractor put in a new water line down through that subdivision. They had to cut, and the fiber optic group have been over there drilling and poking holes everywhere. And I think that Phil might be interested. And so, yeah, we were going to give him a call and invite him to come at least look at it with us. It'd be nice if we could go from 145 all the way across with all the way.
You bet.
New asphalt all the way. So
because that's a big commuter road, man.
It
a lot
is.
of people come down the
It is.
doors, go to the hospital, go to that's a big. busy road.
And it's going to continue to be, and I think
Yeah.
26 will be in the near future. I have to do some work on it from the city limits north because of the same thing. It's just where the traffic is.
Well, and that, we go so far into the city, we go all the way up there, Cottonwood Street?
Yes,
I mean,
quite a ways.
So it's really, I think a lot of people think that's a city road back out to L Road, but it's not. We go all the way almost to the hospital property there as our road.
Which would be one that I would entertain working with Phil on, coming all the way in.
Because Mildred is beat up so bad and all this construction, it's getting pounded. It might be a good, maybe where we could get a cooperative deal going there and do both of those, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And throw in a roundabout at Empire and Mildred.
What's that? Yeah, roundabout it, yeah.
DB and 8.
Yeah, roundabout would be good.
It's very busy over there. It's a very busy intersection.
Oh, Lord, yes, it's
Well,
going to get worse.
that intersection is going to get worse.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna
worse.
get worse
I
and
know
worse.
there
It
was a
is.
statement made that us people in Montezuma County aren't smart enough to do a roundabout. we can always learn new tricks.
You know what? Yeah, we're not that old a dog. Oh, yeah.
When we get real good at it, they put 3 lanes in them.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Those can get even good driving.
I saw
out there.
some of those in
can
South
get
America.
a
Yeah,
little
they're
tricky.
pretty good. Yeah. So there's some new news on our bridge fund. Remember, we turned in that application. Well,
Yeah.
we've been selected.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like oh boy.
Good for you.
Well, I
Good for
guess.
you.
This is kind of an interesting thing. This is for Alkali Creek. They did not accept our application for Road 44 in Mancos. 44, yeah, 44. But Alkali Creek is a tough little job. It's a deep hole, and it's going to have to be built with a super in it through that curve. We're looking at a possibility of using what they call contact bridge, which is foundation footings and a curvature form work and then concrete. And it's going to take some engineering. And so I haven't talked to Ryan, I think his name is Ryan. He called last week, and we've been playing phone tag ever since, but we've been selected if we can work like a 2 or 3 year project out of this, which is fine with me. And the first year would be engineering, which we know is a big part of this bridge. It's going to take a lot of engineering from water usage down through the draw, water rights. There's a lot of issues going there, floodplains, things like this. So there's a lot of this money. In fact, we put about $200,000 and some $1,000 in for engineering. Now, whether we take that much or not, I don't know yet. We'll get to that. But they're willing to fund us 80% of that, which would give us about $39,000 we've got to pay for. Probably have to be cash because I can't do any matching in kind with engineering. So these are some conversations that I want to have with them. I still think it's worth proceeding with this, though. That's a bridge that we're going to have to work on. It's on CDOT's list of top bridges in Montezuma County that need repaired or replaced. And I think we need to do something to keep this moving. So
What road is that on?
it's on Road N, Nancy. So right now, it looks like we would probably either build it in 2019 or 2020, but we'll spend the first year in just engineering it. So
Is that the same thing that they did on Highway 145 by Narragansett Lake? Or is that different?
no, that's
a box
a box
culvert.
culvert
That's
there.
a
Yeah,
box
right.
Or 184?
Yeah, 184. Which would be a possibility down in Alkali Creek, but it is restrictive to branches and trees, and a lot of flooding that can happen in there can really plug up a box culvert. So I'm leaning more towards bridge, and so is engineering because of that. That's a major
Because
drainage.
it's bigger,
Yeah,
more
it just
open
lets
for.
things flow through, right?
Right.
So, and box culverts aren't that cheap when they get that big either. It takes a lot of big equipment to put those in.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we've been selected, and I think we'll keep on moving forward, with this.
What's the value of that grant? Have they told you what the?
Well, we got 1 point. Well, that value would be for right now would be around 200,000.
An 80-20 split
Yes,
on
an
that.
80-20
and
split. We'd have 39,000 that we'd have to
Is
pay.
is the whole rest of the remainder of that grant an 80-20 split as well?
Yeah, the whole thing is, yeah. Now, a lot of it, though, we can do as matching in kind.
yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
the dirt work, the earth work.
Yeah, a
the
lot of
earth.
labor materials and stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
And
The
is
road
this with
realignment, so-
CDOT? Or
No,
it's through,
CDOT is the bridge inspector. This is through Colorado County,
okay.
so.
Okay, well.
I know. Every time I sign one of these things,
I
get more work.
Just a little bit, yeah, just
So-
tighten up a little bit.
About another job.
I can't hardly say no, So.
Well, when you take a project
Yeah.
of that magnitude and get other people's money to help you get it done and improve your, I mean, you can't
Well,
really say no to it, and you're gonna have to do it eventually somewhere anyway.
You know, total engineering costs on this estimate's $325,000. This is just preliminary engineering.
Boy, that's-
The bridge itself is 1.2 million, so, you know, to do the work. If they're paying 80% of that, and we can match up with our working kind on our
Yeah.
20, you can't hardly say no to these
Can't
things,
hardly
you know, so.
give, no.
It just takes a lot of work. Bridges take a lot of work. There's a lot of liability, a lot of issues with engineering on them, so. The old days of a couple of logs and a couple of planks across it
Across
just
the
don't
deal,
work
yeah,
anymore,
yeah,
you know.
a little
Yeah,
abutment area.
right,
Yeah,
right, so.
they're over with.
So that was good news. We got that over the last couple of days. We are also scheduled to meet with Forest Service on the 17th of this month to begin our Schedule A agreements. Walking through all those, making sure they're all cleaned up and make sure we're in the right spot with all those. Also working with them, or at least discussing Road 31, Dolores Norwood Road, getting the liability, or not liability, but the Schedule A changed where we do the surface coating on it rather than the Forest Service, and we're responsible for that, so we can move forward with that. Also talking with them about possible funds to help with the maintenance, or I mean with the repair of that road, so they're gonna look into their construction funds, so that all starts on the 17th.
You usually bring those here, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We have to get that done. We get them to write them all up, and then they come in for your signatures, so, yeah, so.
Get as much as you can.
There's a couple of them roads that we need to discuss with them up there at Barlow Creek, up in that upper reach, that have not been bladed for years, and we got in there this year with the blades, and they're pretty rough. They're hard to blade, and I think the Forest Service either, I don't know what we'll do with them, take them off the list or improve them so we can blade them and make it worth it. So that's some discussions we'll have. Preferably make them where we can work them, you know, but it's hard to get in there and blade something if there's nothing to blade.
No,
you know,
you're
so.
down to road base
Right,
and big rock.
and trees, and
yeah.
they're not clearing the edges, and
Yeah.
these are the responsibilities on their part to get
Yeah.
us in there, so we've got to discuss some of those. So I'll bring each district foreman in with me on these meetings so we can get a real good look at each road individually and see where we are with them. So, yeah, so
Hold them there.
I'm done.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I've invited him to come this afternoon for our executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's about 3:30, something like that. Is that what you got, Melissa?
Put a time on it.
I didn't put a time on it, I don't know. Probably about 2:30.
2:30, okay.
Do you want us to?
I can text you.
Sure, send me a text just in case
Okay.
I'm sideways. I know.
Okay.
But yeah, even though it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen you, it's really been pretty calm. Just, you know, the roads are in pretty good shape considering as dry as it is. We don't have, regardless of whatever's going on, we do not have a lot of water right now. I mean, we just don't. The canals are dried up, the lakes
No
are locked
water
down.
anywhere.
There's just no water. So we're explaining that to the residents that call from time to time. That, you know, we do the best we can. If we get a little rain, we'll be right on it. In fact, the Roundup District today is blading roads. They did get enough water up there to go out and blade a few roads. It's not a lot, but it's a few of the worst, you know,
Yeah.
that they can hit today. But water it's hard to come by this time of year. We should not be doing this kind of work, you know.
No, you should be pushing
should be-
snow off
yeah.
into the barge.
It has set all new kinds
Yeah.
of challenges this year, trust me. So,
Keep good notes on this in
Yeah.
case it ever happens again. You'll know what to
my
expect.
mechanics are upset because they won't leave them alone. The
Well,
blades are needing
everything's
fixed.
needing work
Dozers
on
and
that.
not blade, not snow plows, you know, and things, you know. So it's very weird out there right now.
I
That is
might be
different.
calling for the day of help, furniture, moving.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, that's
I'll
right. You've
call
been-
you. Yeah. I think we're about ready.
Good for you. I keep
I'm-
looking for my name on your list, but I haven't seen it yet.
I
so
know, it's coming.
It's good.
Oh.
It's good for you. That's good.
So,
Well,
we're
happy to
getting
help you.
closer.
Okay, good deal.
I think it'll probably be some furniture and some files. Moving lots of stuff. So,
Well, we'll be happy to help you. So.
All right.
if I can keep them all day, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try. They're going to be like, don't send us back in there. Don't let us go back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
between the
some-
holidays and vacations.
Sure, not much.
No.
Not much going on.
We did do a little tree trimming on Friday. Had some guys that needed to work those 2 hours that instead of taking vacation, they did do it down and chopped up all them Russian olives that the weed department had laid down along Road G. Got that all picked up, cleaned up. So, you know, just little chores like that we can jump in and do. This is the right weather for it. So
Did you take it to the landfill?
I don't know. The truck was empty when I come in this morning, so they took it somewhere.
I don't know. I was just curious.
Brunner and
Right.
Associates, maybe? I don't know where they dumped it. I think they did, yeah, probably.
Just to help for the compost
Yeah.
is what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
I haven't talked to them this morning. There was 4 guys that went out and did all that Friday,
Good.
so.
I seen them at the landfill.
Is that where they're? Okay, good. Dumping the truck?
Well, I just seen the
Orange,
pickup.
orange truck? And
I didn't see the orange truck actually, but I didn't go back there. I seen Rick, I think it was.
Oh, on Friday? No, it was
Who was it? Maybe it wasn't. It wasn't. But it was
David Robinson with one of the pickups from
Okay.
I bet that's what it was. They took them down there.
Cool.
It was all put back in the shop nice and clean this morning, so they did their job. So. Every once in a while with these hours, on these funny hours that we're doing right now, which, by the way, we're still working 410s.
410s, right?
We normally would be in our 5-day
Yeah,
work plans
5.
right now, but it's just not worth it. We can just keep rolling.
And I'm
It's
wondering-
Keep doing it like you're doing fall
It's
work.
55 degrees in the afternoons,
Yeah.
We're coming in at 5 just like we're supposed to, so.
Sure.
If you have a short day might work for moving stuff too.
Trouble is my short days may not match your day you're ready.
I know.
So
Well,
that's
but
the
that's
trouble.
why we've got a little flexibility. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got a short day coming up.
Oh, just 2-hour days.
Okay.
Yeah, we do on this Martin Luther
But
King
even
Day, so.
2 hours
helps.
might help.
Absolutely. I
So-
see what you're saying, sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
We can
yep.
at least get started and figure
So
out.
they come into work for just 2 hours.
Most of them took vacation. But there's some that are short on vacation, so they came and cleaned up all the weeds for me.
With the 410s, it works. Yeah,
It's
it
kind of
works.
weird. It's kind of weird through the holiday time, so.
That just doesn't seem very efficient to me.
It's not. It's not. Straight up, it's not. That's the game we play.
But
so.
that's how it goes.
Yeah,
huh?
so.
All right. Thank you,
Good.
Rob.
You bet. See ya.
See you this afternoon.
Okay.
At this time, we have the BLM Aqueduct near Mancos. We got a presentation, I believe. James Dietrich had told us. Somebody. Come on up. Cindy.
Morning.
I'm Colleen Brennan.
Colleen,
Larry
nice
Don-
to meet
Larry
you.
Don Sukla.
Keenan Hertel, nice to meet you.
Meet you.
Hi.
Michael Grajeda.
Michael.
Did I meet you
What?
recently?
Yeah, well,
Michael
I sure
Grajeda.
did. Sure, I know exactly where you're from.
Nice to meet you. Hi. Michael. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, a little different seeing you here, huh?
Yeah, it is. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you all know about the Aqueduct area, but as we said, we're with the Mancos Trails Group. The area was identified in Mancos's 2012 Comprehensive Trails Plan as a priority to develop for non-motorized trails. It's been being discussed for a few years, but in the last year, we've been working with the BLM, Jeff Christensen, and Mike's done some trail alignment, so it's progressed to that level. He's got about, 12 miles of tentative
right,
non-motorized
So,
trail.
yeah, about a year ago, we started just kind of trying to find an alignment for multi-use, non-motorized recreation. And so right now we've worked on about 12 miles, and so that's a pretty collaborative effort. Equestrians, the cycling community, hikers, runners, people on foot, that kind of thing. We've worked with the BLM to kind of get some ideas in terms of like how often it would be offered year round, and so there would be just some other details, closure for seasonal, wildlife, that kind of thing.
Is there a lot of
Acts-
wildlife in that area?
Yeah,
Is
so
it mule
a lot
deer?
of mule deer.
Did you have to do an archaeological
thing.
study and archaeological assessment?
Yeah, they did one. I can't remember when it was, but it's still valid. And so basically they gave us, a map and areas, sensitive areas to avoid for whatever reason, archaeological, wildlife, environmental, whatever. And so we kind of worked with that and avoided those areas as best we could to kind of create an alignment. I guess I can just show it to you guys and kind
Have
of get
they
an idea.
said when they were going to, is it approved? Can you
No.
start building it?
So, no. That would be great. But, no.
They want a proposal from us.
Hand them
So,
that?
Yeah, so here it is.
so obviously,
Scrolling up there.
so, this is the parcel, 1,000 acres or so. And it's really hard to see, but County Road 39 kind of cuts right through that and then heads off.
That's
to
the
west.
landfill road, isn't it?
Right, and so that's what this blue,
Yeah, there you go.
blue space is.
Right.
And so that is still kind of being looked at as a possible kind of
Parking lot,
trailhead parking
yeah.
area. I think there's still like a 30-year maturation that they're trying to complete on it. Is that right? That expires like next year, and then they have to kind of get an engineer out to look at it and that kind of thing to see if it can be utilized at that point. So.
Is this on parts of it that they've closed already, that the landfill that's already closed and then want to
Right, and
repurpose
then
it, reuse it for
right.
parking area? Gotcha.
Right, so,
Okay.
so we've just kind of been throwing around some ideas, that being an access point so as not to disturb, people further down and have as much traffic back on the
Yeah,
road. So,
that'd be a great launching place.
and this is very preliminary, but as you can see, this is another proposed parking area down here. And then one of our other, major points in talking with equestrians primarily, was that it would be unidirectional for bike traffic, just to make encounters predictable and that kind of thing. And so, and those would be the only two access points. The other areas kind of around the parcel is surrounded by
Private land.
private
isn't it?
land.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is it currently being grazed?
not that I'm aware of. There is an old grazing kind of fence line along this ridge here, but we've decided to kind of avoid going into that territory for now. But not that I was aware of, and speaking with Jeff, with the BLM, Jeff Christensen, he wasn't aware of any kind of grazing going on.
So mainly, what is it used now for?
There are people, private landowners nearby that have access points that do a lot of hiking, equestrian. I mean,
Hunting.
other than that, that's about it as far as I know. There really are no established trails out there. There's game
So
trails.
none of these are in existence. These are just
Right.
what you're looking at
It's
as the
just-
proposed routes and different things.
Right, so we created this route just by looking at the topography and then getting out there on foot and recording with the GPS. And then what's not on here is the avoidance areas. And so on some of these areas, it looks kind of odd that you're kind of coming close to the trail again, but we're trying to avoid some of the areas. But yeah, all these were kind of created on foot and using just kind of GPS mapping software. So.
Is the
None of them
BLM,
exist.
what's the estimated time to build this trail? Do you know?
We don't know. We're just kind of trying to knock one thing off on
Yeah.
the list, and so right now, talking with Jeff, it sounds like really our next step is getting a final proposal together. So getting more input from folks, equestrians, more cyclists, and just kind of getting the alignment tweaked to kind of work for everybody, and then getting a final proposal together, submitting it to them, and then we go from there. We're not really sure. We'll have to do another environmental assessment once that kind of goes through once that's in their hands.
Can you use this existing map and put that in a proposal, and then if there needed to be some tweaks to the trail? I've been a commissioner for 5 years. I've never seen the BLM approve anything yet. So I think the sooner that you give them the proposal, I don't know.
Tell them to approve it and pray that SHPO doesn't come down and take a look at you. And even I'll tell you, you got a lot of work to do yet.
Right.
But if you have a bike club or anybody that's helping you guys with this, or a bike club or equestrian club or hikers, or do you have groups that are
We are. So
helping you with this?
You know, we're the Mancos Trails group. A lot of us are in other clubs, and so it kind of helps with coordinating that effort. I know we have Tiff from
She was
Backcountry
going to
Horseman.
come today.
I myself am involved in the cycling club, and have been just communicating with like Sean Gregory, who's done a lot of the mapping with Phil's World and Boggy Draw in that area, and he's helped me a lot with getting this alignment going. So, and just offering input on, you know, it should go here, maybe not there, that kind of thing. So,
And I think what we need now, and the BLM has expressed, is that the groups come together and create a proposal.
There you go.
And right now, it's mostly been the Mancos Trails group. So that's why we're here today too, to look for further support for the project, if it's there.
I was brought up from my granddad said you have to do multi-use. If you don't do multi-use on the public lands, then they'll take one entity away at a time. And that's multi-use. So I can be honest with you, my opinion of getting a project done with the BLM, we've been working 8 years now on the Phil's World expansion, it's still sitting there, is there's a lot of talk and there's not a lot of action. And the proof is in the pudding. So
Maybe just go start doing it.
You think so?
Yeah.
well,
I would.
we can't seem to get anything done
There's
right
no other
now.
way to get
And
anything
and I
yeah.
can tell you that the existing Phil's World Trail was all illegal trails.
Uh-huh.
And then they just incorporated them. So I don't know what's going on up there, but it sure is in action. But any way that we can do to help you,
Yeah, we support you in whatever you can accomplish there.
Okay, because we have heard there has been a little concern about the traffic on the county road.
But I think I don't think Rob has any problem with accommodating traffic, and especially if you get something worked out there with the landfill for a parking where you start just like at Phil's World, you have a starting headquarters and a parking area that's there substantiated for that, and I don't think that's going to affect our county roads at all.
I don't either. And then basically it comes down to this: what is the purpose of a road?
All
It's to drive on.
people
I
make
hear that
a
argument
move,
over
yeah.
and over again, but that's what the purpose of a road is to drive on. So, again, maybe you need to talk to Tom Rice back there. He knows how to get a trail pushed through on the Forest Service.
Get all the help you can, because it'll take it.
Okay.
But
Good luck.
I am very supportive of this
Yeah,
trail.
Okay.
just.
I want to go ride it.
Yeah.
All right.
He'll be out there test me out when you get it going.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks.
I tell you, if you would coordinate with James Jafrick back there, he's our public lands resource, and he's very good at his job, and he'll help you in any way he can.
Great.
Okay. Thanks.
But
Excellent.
push forward.
Yep. Don't take stalling or no for an answer.
All right. Thanks for the support.
All right. We have Ken Curtis from the Dolores Water Conservancy going to talk to us about the ANS hours.
There's some more right there too.
There's a few more pictures there, yeah.
Oh,
Good morning, Ken. How are you? Morning, Tom. Good to see you again. Good to see you.
Good morning.
What do you want to start with?
You guys want to, I put some stuff for the screen, but we can cut it short to stay on schedule.
Well,
We actually got a cancellation, so we're
So we're good?
Yeah.
The one that looks like this,
Okay.
let's throw that up for everybody. So Melissa and James have these if you guys want to look at them. So we got some late end of the year info from state CPW on mussels, and then we'll get down to what we're asking you guys. I brought some copies. So I just wanted to flip through. This was their December statewide meeting, and our mussel boat interceptions across the state continue to go up for 2017. It's a bad trend, but I guess you can't expect it to change much. Moving on to the next one.
Well, I thought I could.
It's a PDF. You just probably have to scroll down on the right. It's not PowerPoint.
Try to make it go. Wow, come on. Maybe my computer not talking very well today.
There you go.
Wait there. Sorry.
So you can see they're all over the state. We're seeing mussel-infested boats show up. And of course, the Front Range are pushing tens of thousands of boats through some of those metro reservoirs all the time. But we're getting our share down here, being close to Arizona, and that's the next slide, where they're coming from. Doing great, Melissa. You can see Arizona is still one of the top ones. We're not sure. There are a lot of boats out there by the Great Lakes, and for some reason they keep dragging them down our way. They actually suspect maybe that's where you go buy a cheap boat and bring it in. Because that's how the houseboat got into, coming to Navajo, was bought down by Powell, was moved and got caught on the hill. But you can see all our neighbors that are infested. So, in other words, we still got a lot of reason to keep our guard up.
So that means there's been 24 boats.
In Colorado.
In Arizona.
Oh, from Arizona,
From Arizona.
in Colorado. Caught in Colorado. And they've done some surveys at Powell, and looking at the upper boat ramps where they use, 50% of those people are coming back to Colorado.
Halls and height.
Yeah, on the upper ones. I think one's out of water, but
Heights
the
out
other
of
Heights
two.
out of water, yeah.
Bullfrogs.
20 of them came from Wisconsin to Colorado?
Yeah, I think that's actually 28. That's, or 20, I can't read it, but you're right. I asked about why those you're right, 20. Why those Midwestern ones are high, and they're not sure, other than they may be buying boats up there and bringing them back. And then, of course, Nebraska and the Dakotas aren't showing up, but they think they're up there. Montana's just villagers like us. Anyway, next slide, moving on.
Go too fast.
Yeah, so they're still sampling. This is one of the things they still can afford. They did our last survey in October, and McPhee was still clear. No evidence of anything. Villagers, mussels on their substrate. So they're still checking all the lakes around the state. Next, please. The bad news is, what with the state funding issues, this is some of the stuff. Oh, this is the new detections, I'm sorry. So Green Mountain is big news. That's DNA testing. We've had that in the past. They don't always settle out. They could have been dead samples. They had maybe died in the bait well and got released, or a ballast tank. They can't tell. They can just tell that there's DNA in there. So, of course, they've cracked down in Green Mountain, and we hope it doesn't go anywhere because it's at the headwaters of the Colorado River. Aside from that, boaters move around, and so we get overlap. So anyway, that's the big news in Colorado. New Zealand mud snail is on this slide. They are kind of in the Gunnison and Uncompahgre. Those aren't as bad as mussels, but they're not good. So we hope and they tend to move in the mud. So a lot of fishermen can move those, as opposed to mussels usually have to be on boats or something bigger.
Mud snail would be less of a infrastructure risk than mussel would be.
They're tiny, but they're still prolific, so we still don't want them down here. Next slide, please. So unfortunately, with their funding issues, they're cutting back CPW. So mussels remain their top priority, and so those are not cut back. And luckily, we do not have these others yet, any of them water milfoil, snails, or rusty crayfish. Sanchez over there in the Rio Grande is probably the closest crayfish we got. Moving on. So,
I know there's
yeah.
a law, a bill being hasn't been passed, but going through right now at the state level about funding.
Yep, I
for
was going
this.
to bring that up.
Oh,
So, the funding was a problem. They got saved. Next slide. Yeah. So they have a bill going forward. It went to the Water Resource Committee, passed out 10-0. That means it automatically gets introduced to the legislature, I believe, on the 10th or the first day or whatever. And therefore, it has a good chance of going forward. It's $25 extra registration on in-state boats, $50 on out-of-state boats. That's going to fund them for about $2 to $2.5 million. They need a good 4 to 4.5 to run the program. They're getting the rest from severance taxes, and the bad news there is they're still in the toilet because of that lawsuit a few years back. They do think when the lawsuit has some limitations on how far back they can refile their taxes, that'll level out and make up the difference. You guys follow, oil still not real high, and obviously you saw the impacts from Kinder Morgan. So anyway,
It's getting better.
yeah, so we hope longer term they're in better shape. They're still going to struggle for a year or two. Would be the short term, but anyway, because they've separated it from hunting fees and other fishing and all sorts of other stuff, at least it's a clean muscle bill going up.
Specifically designated for that.
Do you know how they will do that? Via online or?
Well, state registration fees are per normal, which I assume are
you can go
online.
to the
It would
Dolores.
be part when you register your boat, it would
Your boat.
be additional cost to that registration. So the tag you'd pay for it then.
So the out-of-staters, I'm not 100% sure. That's a concern of theirs. They know better than I do how you jump on the out-of-staters, but you almost have to enforce it at the ramp.
I don't think out-of-state boats have to be registered on Colorado waters.
That's my understanding. That's why I think it's still up in the air how they're going to enforce
That's
that.
it, yeah.
And it'll probably start weak, and as they educate, maybe they'll get more. Certainly Senator Coram and Representative Catlin are well aware of this problem. Coram sits on the Water Resource. He heard all the pitches on it, so he's going forward. So then there's just a list of all the folks throwing in money, and this is the update I've been giving our board and some others. Nothing significant, but that's going to stay the same. So that kind of gets in. There's a couple articles I'll just leave on their computer and just say that California is still struggling with how they move downstream. The Central Arizona project. We're going to go to this one next. Central Arizona is fighting.
Is that list the only participating entities that are helping with the ANS inspections and stuff?
There's 2 pages of that.
Two
But yes.
pages of that is MVI in there?
No. So, they're not putting in money to CPW. They are controlling their reservoirs. So that's
they're
just
doing the
people,
inspections on they're inspecting their reservoirs, or
just a groundhog,
And-
and their cleanup remains locked off, except for 9 exempt, no motors.
Is it going down? Can't make it go down.
But
That's
isn't-
okay.
Isn't part of their water in McVeigh Reservoir as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's why we're the funding. I mean, they pay us for maintenance on McPhee, and that's where we get the money. We're getting it from all our users, and of course, we have some tax base too. And that's why we're covering generally the local, because that's our part. But these are people that pay money to CPW inspections. That doesn't mean they're not doing their own thing on a private lake or doing something else in kind of.
How much does your mill levy raise, do you know?
Well, it's spread out over several categories. The only, some of it goes to payback and stuff that we can't touch, but the discretionary is between 100 and 150 last I think about 130. I mean, we saw the decrease in property and all. The rest of it's all fixed from the beginning, so. And then we charge all our users, MVI, Utes, or full service, M&I, cost for McPhee. And so this goes into your cost of McPhee. So moving on, we wanted, and I've got copies. Keenan, if you can pass those, I thought I brought one. I'll leave a copy with Melissa. We want to go over daily averages. We're getting at the question, and then let me pass these around too. I'll probably go over these first. So we had a meeting, and Commissioner Tell was there. I appreciate that. I'm not going to go through the detailed inspections, but overall, we saw about 5,300 inspections last year, and that's up 9%. Now, of course, we had it closed down in the after hours, so it's hard to tell. Of those, 3,800 were removing seals. That means our boaters figured out that they really want to get the seal on the way out so they can come in faster. So not a ton of first time. There were 1,200 entrants. And that's on Melissa's numbers. You won't see that. We're going to go in detail.
We don't have that. He's reading that off another page.
But Melissa has it on her computer if you want to delve in. It's got all these different categories because, you know, they collect this all over the state, and this gets into how they assess risk at all the reservoirs. But I just wanted to give you a feel that we're talking about 5,300 for the year, and that's both ramps. And then and there is a breakdown that Melissa has between the two ramps. And that's really what we're getting at. I'll go through the meeting, and then we'll get to the averages and the question of the day.
I participated. I went to this meeting.
Yeah, Keenan wasn't there. Larry Don was.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was
That's
just,
I made a mistake. Thank you.
That's all right.
I knew we had a commissioner, and I was sitting up there probably.
He's been at one.
I was one of the previous one, yes.
Yeah, so you heard some of the talk about trails and hunters getting interrupted by bikers, and there was some
I'd like to
unrelated
comment on that
talk.
one because
Please do.
the guy takes his daughter hunting at a bike trail. And he's lived there all of his life, and he doesn't expect to see a bike.
On a beautiful day.
I'm sorry, but if you ain't any smarter than that, I thought it was ridiculous what the man said. And then when he posted it in the newspaper, he left out that he went to a bike trail.
Because they are assigned bike trails.
Yeah, I mean, it was just.
So we had a decent turnout. We had some comments that were unrelated to specific to lake and mussel issues. And that's why I've just highlighted, you guys deal with public land issues ad infinitum. And the more I get involved, I see what you guys go through.
It was fun to watch it.
So we just have the little part around the lake, of course, that is our big concern. And I am going to work with a couple of private citizens on access to Totten. It might be a good experiment, since it's the smallest of the local lakes, to get some access going. And we'd have to have a fairly strict honor system, you know, and so I don't know how that's going to work out. I just bring that up. Several people mentioned it, and I thought I'd work with these individuals and see if there's a way to do that. Because obviously MBI is going to have to keep making their own decisions, and they're going to rightfully err on the side of caution. McPhee being the only one that's obligated to be open to the public. None of the others are obligated. We still have the launching close to shore over at Sagehen, and obviously Rob delivered some rocks last year. We spread those out with the gates open. We've had more access. Lake level is going to be a driving force beyond that. Technically, we can't really allow access below the high water line. I think we're a few feet below it there by Great Cut and that other location. So we haven't decided. We're going to keep working with James, and we may or may not be back relative to the gate and Sagehen access this year. We haven't worked out all the details. They still are asking about fees, but overall, everybody understands why we're doing this, and I thought the public has received it really well. We had some really hot, crappy, busy days, and I'm sure temper's got a little high, but overall, everybody understands what we're doing, and I really appreciate everybody getting the word out. So having said that, the 4 funders right now are in for the same amount. So it's a status quo year. That's kind of, I wish I could say more. The state is rebidding. They had been on a multi-year contract that expired. You know, minimum wage is going up. So unfortunately, we may see some cost increases. The Forest Service, of course, doesn't have a budget through the end of the week. I don't know. You know how that federal funding goes between
Yeah, until the
extending
19th, but yeah, it's a continuing resolution, so our funding will be static at this point.
that and their fire issues that we all hear about, you know, robbing half their budget. So the Bureau, we're lucky they got power plants that can help fund this. So we're in, the Bureau's in, and CPW's in. We might have a little bit of flexibility. So we'll see what the bids come in. The big issue is we're going to talk to the town of Dolores tonight, and we want to start getting input. We're thinking of shifting some of the October hours out at House Creek to April at the main round at McPhee. That's our thought, to give a little bit more access. Fishermen, usually the first one on. You're not water skiing, knock on wood, I hope you're not. I mean, some of those guys are pretty diehard, I shouldn't say that. I know they got wetsuits and all. So anyway, that's our thought, and we're waiting to get the bids. They'll come in, we'll have our meeting, probably do another public meeting in March to get ahead of the season. We're talking to the town at Dolores tonight.
And you think is that you're seeing more use in April?
Yeah, when you see 3.7 people coming in or launches in October at some of these main ramps, it's
House
just
Creek.
at House Creek,
Gets way
it's just
low.
not cost effective. And so we want to provide access. On Saturdays in October, there were no launches at House Creek. So, from a business perspective, I think we need to redirect our staffing to a place that we know is getting used more heavily than House Creek.
What do your colors mean on this chart?
Oh, it didn't come out. The darker red or the higher numbers are well over 100. Those weekends, Sundays particularly, that's when things are jam-packed. Longer term, we're thinking of moving the inspection station up, but that's going to take some money, and so that's not in the cards for 2018. Maybe not ever, but we obviously had moved the inspection station for quality reasons, but it's taken up valuable parking, and that's causing a problem on them red weekends.
And I think we had those parking problems even when we didn't have the inspection station moved. It was just a busy place in July and August on those busy weekends. And those busy weekends, we tell people to go to House Creek. It seems to be the biggest solution.
They seem to do a little bit better, and they're going to be open on
Yeah.
these same 4 days, it looks like, in these hot times.
And also the impact of campers. We don't have a lot of campers, especially boating campers at House Creek in October, so we don't think it's going to be a big impact to our contractor that runs House Creek and McPhee campgrounds, and we don't think it'll be a big impact to the boating campers at all by moving the inspections away from October, in October.
And then, I don't know, we're going to try and do a little bit of striping and help. We're going to work around the edges on the parking, because I know the marina, Doc's had some issues because his customers, sometimes need to drive right up. There'll be overflow, and that's going to be tough on some folks. So we'll be working around the edges, trying to, I don't know what we can do, but we'll work on it and try and get the word out. And I know Tom spent a lot of time out there, and keep coordinating that.
What is the big cost to move it up on top?
Infrastructure, we have water up there that's on the wrong side of the road, and we have power up there, so the infrastructure issues are what drives it, and then also just materials, things like that. The other issue with the inspectors is that they like being down on the ramp, because if there's a problem, if someone runs through the inspection program, avoids the inspections, they're right there. So there's some, when they're at their existing location, they're right there to deal with anyone who tries to get around these inspections. But it's what was it? I can't remember. About a $14,000 bill. I'm trying to remember what we discussed for that. I don't recall.
Well, we don't have a lot of specifics, but yeah, it needs to be bigger than that existing dump site, and it should be on the other side of the road. Maybe you work around that, and then you need the
water, wastewater, or water and power.
Yeah, but we need to enlarge it, and so.
And the other logistical issue, to a degree, is the fact that we have some boaters who are at the campground too. In theory, they would be inspected, but we have some boaters who pull into the campground and stay at our campground, possibly pulling in when we don't have inspectors on site. So there's
and then they would be behind.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So there's some logistical issues.
And of course, we've got our our gate and our spikes down below, they're out of sight. We don't want to shut the bar at the top because people could go down, well, marina users and off hours and just people. So there's stuff we could work on. So that may not be the long-term answer. I guess I bring it up because I want to keep pushing. No one's going to be ponying up a lot more money, but I hope longer term we can expand these hours. And the parking seems to be the biggest problem on these busy weekends. I mean, what can we do about those two issues, hours and parking? I mean, everybody loved the water. The temperatures, started cold and then heated up. We're going to face elevation issues. Probably going to be our boating challenge this year, what with the lack of snow.
Temporary lack of snow.
Thank you.
Say that. Temporary.
Good optimism. Good optimism.
So we just wanted to update you since we're going to Dolores, get the word out. We'll notify, James is working with us. We'll be back relative to Sagehen one way or the other and still working on that. And then we got to do some public outreach before the season. We'll let you know about that. It's been great working with you, getting the word out. We'll keep chugging along and upwards and onwards in the future, but this year we'll continue.
Well,
on
it's
with what
obviously
we
going
got.
to be, this isn't going to ever probably be over with. I mean,
Unless
some biochemist out there
Yeah.
somewhere comes up with a real simple way to sterilize them or eradicate them without killing the entire lake, but or something to lead them. But
Yeah,
that hasn't happened yet.
we're still waiting.
Have you had any, so Forest Service uses the Secure Rural School bill to help fund our program. Any word on the reauthorization of that bill or PILT?
Senator Biden, the Democrat, and Orrin Hatch have proposed to funding for 2 years. But that's just,
For PILT?
yep.
Okay, but no movement on.
No, both.
That's
On
all right.
both, okay.
Built in as far
They
as-
keep them tied together usually.
I think we're going to know by the 19th.
Okay, good.
Well, I know we're going to know by the 19th.
Yeah, it's tied in with some other decisions, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
But the National Association of Counties is fully behind that.
It's just such an important bill.
And then there's two congressmen that it's the same exact bill.
Okay.
So they're trying.
Yeah, and other venues that you're at, National Association of Counties. I mean, Zinke's well familiar with this issue. I know they're trying to lock down Powell better. That actually would help us
Boy,
if they
it
could
would.
stop the problem
The
down
in
there.
and the out, coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our whole delegation from Gardner and Tipton and Bennett and everybody, Kaufman, the whole gang, want the Bureau and the Corps of Engineers to step up on reservoirs where they've got responsibilities, because the Eastern Slope Bureau is not doing as good as ours. And that would free up the state to be more supportive of programs like ours where they got partners putting in. So there's some stuff that can happen on the federal side. Anything you hear, we monitor it through CPW and muscle venues. But
And then on the state side, on that state law that's being proposed, or funding for
Yes.
for the Division of Wildlife, I'm actually there's a coalition of commissioners, and it's both sides of the aisle and in the middle. So Democrat, Republican, Independents, and we are on I think there's 7 of us that are pushing support from all the counties on that
Excellent.
funding. So.
Excellent.
I see no problem that's going to pass here in a couple of weeks up in Denver, as far as on the county side and their legislators pushing for that
Excellent.
funding.
Obviously, it probably hearing what you said about the coalition and everything else is supposed to be a little contentious this year and all being an election year, but it'd be nice to
One thing that
get
everybody
one-
agrees on, yeah.
exactly.
You
So
know
we
that they're
need
starting
to.
on Wednesday. That's a good start.
So thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We know how dire this can be if it gets into our water system, right? That's incredible.
It makes sense what you're doing
Yeah.
here. Changing it. The only other thing, so would you lock the boat ramp?
At House Creek?
Yeah, how
Yeah,
you,
we already have some spikes and a gate there, so we can shut it down.
And-
No different than what we've been doing.
and how does like the kayakers and
They can still hand launch. It's a little bit of a haul for some of them, which is an issue, but there are also other access points around the campground that they could maybe use too. But yeah, that'll be a bit of an issue for the kayakers to get
How
there.
far is it from where that cattle guard is?
Where our spike strips are,
Yeah.
where our gate is, about 100 yards, yeah, maybe 200 yards probably, so depending on water level.
And then your ramp just goes right
Yeah.
down off into House Creek.
Correct. Yeah. So that'll be an issue. But
There
some
was,
of
there
these
was one
folks-
gentleman that was saying about all of the kayaks on the,
David Smith.
Boat ramp.
you know, on the boat. I mean, I've never heard of that. Is that?
First time I'd heard of it.
It's not as large of an issue as I think.
Okay. I will. I just, it didn't make sense to me. Why would I get in a kayak and then launch myself 2 feet off the edge to try to get to the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep you abreast,
Okay.
but we're starting the new year, and
I'm glad to hear the tests are still all negative.
And we hope you get a lot of snow.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's just starting, it's just coming, it's starting this week.
My next story.
We need it.
All right, next we have the monthly fairground report with Tanner Young, because we have a cancellation at the 10:30 with the Four States Ag Expo.
Morning, Tanner. Morning. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm better than I was Friday. Whew.
I'm not good.
Oh, you going
I'm
home?
leaving after here, yeah.
Hot dang.
Fought it for a week and a half.
Go home and sleep.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Flu?
Just cold, sinus, whatever it is.
Don't. I don't
They
want
said we
you to
got a
go
flu
out.
epidemic.
Yeah, it's not flu,
Come on.
it's just crud.
Crud that won't go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'll wait for Keely.
Go ahead.
Okay. Fairgrounds income year end for 2017 was $75,000.50. Which I estimated it at $75,000, so I thought that was a pretty good guess to do within 50
Yeah,
cents.
you're the best guess.
Or $50, I'm sorry, $50. 2016, our income was $69,930.05, so just a little over $5,000 over the previous year. Fairgrounds attendance for the year of last year, 73,092, which is a very good solid number. It is down from 2016 at 78,465. We spoke about this a couple times. I think that's mainly attributed to two different things. One being the weather through the car races season. A lot of car races were rained out or had inclement weather and didn't have a big turnout. And then two was the Steve Blackwell gun show, where we were short about 5,000 people in attendance on that. So all in all, solid numbers I feel for the year. This last Saturday, we had a commodities giveaway out there. Everything went well with it. I didn't write it in here, but we actually had a birthday party out there on Sunday. It was my daughter. I rented the kitchen. So that was out there on Sunday, yesterday.
Do you have any cake left over?
No,
Oh.
ice cream. Yeah. Yeah, they did a little cooking thing in the kitchen. But coming up this Saturday, the BCW Team Roping. That's a new event we've never had there. Hopefully,
Indoors?
Yeah, indoors. Hopefully it goes well, and if it does, he's wanting to do another one in February and March, which is great. That's the number one thing I feel we're lacking out there is the roping side of things. Granted, I'm skewed a little bit because that's what I enjoyed, but it just seems that's the thing we're lacking. So hopefully we'll get a good response to that. The 16th, next Tuesday, we have the Southwest Colorado Ag Roundtable meeting will be out there. That following weekend, the 20th and 21st, is the Four States Junior Rodeo. The next Saturday, this is another new event, is the Navajo Nation Junior Bull Riding. So they'll have steer riding, sheep riding, bull riding, all the way up to the age of 18 years old. And just so you know on that, obviously, we require insurance and such, but any rough stock event, I do require that they have an EMT on site, just to limit the issue if something happened in there.
Do they get them locally or do they bring theirs? Or?
Either way, I let them do it.
Do
Yeah,
whichever.
whichever. I just look at their card when they're there, and they just have to be an EMT. So, like for the 4 States Junior Rodeo, the hospital works with them, and they actually have an ambulance there, which is great. And they don't even have rough stock there. They're just that's something that they want for an extra protection with that many kids there. So, which is a smart thing to do. The 3rd of February, we have a commodities giveaway. The 4th, we have the fair steer weigh-in, the beef weigh-in. The 10th, we have a barrel race. And then the 24th and 25th is the last 4 States Junior Rodeo. So as of now, there's just one weekend, I believe it's the 17th in February, that we don't have anything scheduled through February. So, so yeah, that's what I have for the year end for last year and kind of moving forward for this year. And then the exciting news, I'd like your guys' opinion. We have our commercial that we've been working on all year long that Jedekiah has collected the information on. I feel he's done a great job with it. So Melissa's going to play it here in a second and get your guys' opinions
Here,
on
just
everything.
a second. Let me do this.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky.
Stop that.
It's a
Turn up
little
my,
over 2.5 minutes. Yeah, well, I'll let you watch
turn
it.
this up as loud as I can. And
I don't know if you can go to full screen on it or
you're going to try. Is it right there?
to the right, very
Right
bottom.
there.
Yeah, right there.
And let's start it again.
Turn the volume.
It was louder a second ago.
Is that going straight
It's going
through?
through the speakers.
That drone can outrun them cars?
Different drone, yeah.
Montezuma County Fairgrounds hosts a variety of rodeo events such as Mountain Roundup Rodeo, 4 States Junior Rodeo, Native American Rodeos, Ranch Rodeos, and the Colorado High School Rodeo. Other events include 4-H activities, barrel races, horse cutting, horse shows, and team roping. Montezuma County Fairgrounds are open year-round for overnight horse boarding, located just minutes from the Fort Waters in southwest Colorado.
There they go.
I've been in that mess.
You've been in that mess.
Says John.
A variety of different events happen each year on our 260-acre property, including the Cortez Gun Show, County Fair, 4 States Ag Expo, 12 hours of Mesa Verde bike race, Four Corners Home and Garden Show, car racing, team maze, Fraser Carnival, Jordan World Circuit, cross country meets, dog shows, car shows, archery practice, hunter ed classes, swap meets, concerts, CDOT truck rodeos, demo derbies, community meetings, and much, much more. The Montezuma County Fairgrounds would like to thank all of the organizations and people that utilize the fairgrounds. Without your support, we would not be able to have such a wonderful facility. Montezuma County Fairgrounds would love to host your upcoming event and has an excellent staff to make your event a success. Feel free to contact us and book your next event. You can call our office at 970-565-1000 or visit us online at www.montezumacounty.org for pricing and availability.
Nice.
What do you guys think?
Good job.
The
Good.
only thing, I wish she was the one doing the talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Never even thought about that. But the nice thing, well, and the one thing I wanted to put, I didn't want any of my name on it or any of our employees' names in case there ever is employee turnover or anything. We don't have a tie to it. It's representing the facility more than the people.
You care about it so much, you could hear, you would be able to hear the passion in
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
In my
I never even
opinion,
thought of that.
if you was-
And then that's a nice thing about this is it's kind of a living thing to where every year I can have them come out and get more footage and then we
Sure.
can review it and update it every year.
Re-edit it if you want, put new
Absolutely.
things in, take some, yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, next year we'll let you mic it up.
Yeah. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. You see at the very end there, we added just the words about the horseman's cards. That was
Yep.
something that I didn't think about till after the fact.
Mhm.
I was going to have them go in and edit and add it in, but it was going to take quite a bit of time and cost us more money. So
Just do an addendum there at the end.
yeah, so what I'm really hoping to accomplish with this is two things. Number one is to hopefully bring in some new attractions, kind of market our facility better. And number two is to kind of show the public in the county about how much the fairgrounds is utilized. What we have is everybody is specific to their one event. If they're in the barrel races, they only think, well, there's only 7 or 8 things a year there all year, and that's the barrel races, or car races or whatever. They don't look at the whole overall picture and how diverse the facility actually is. So hopefully that'll open up everybody's eyes to it. I wanted you guys to look at it first, get your opinions, and then we will put it on our website, the county's website, the fairgrounds website. I'm going to send it to all of our entities that use the facility, try to get them to put it on their Facebook page, their internet page. I've spoke to some of the outfits here in town, like Cortez Retail Enhancement and such.
Talk to Kelly with Mesa Verde Country, Kelly Kirkpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, all those entities,
Yeah.
all the Chamber of Commerce's, everybody.
Yeah.
This week, we're going to really try to get it out there and try to show the public what we've done here.
And another one might be the lodgers, Montezuma County Lodgers
Oh, yeah.
Association.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of different.
So the whole thing, and the nice thing, we haven't done it yet, I'm working with Jim on it. So all the information we compiled through drone and through video for all these different entities, let's just say Ute Rodeo, I'm going to give them that information, all the information that was gathered kind of as a thank you for using the facility. Then they can use that information to help market their product better.
Right.
So those files are so large, we can't compress them to email them. So I'm working with Jim to how I'm dumb computer-wise, so how to do all that to send it to him. So we'll have all that. And the grand scheme of things throughout the whole year, for him to gather all the information, compile it, and put this video together was just a little over $2,060, which is not much at all from a marketing standpoint to come up with this type of a product. So I'm very, very happy with it.
Jim ought to tell, so like doing the Superior that I do, I take all this film of these cattle, and then we have a website that I upload it to.
Yes, and that's what he's talking
And
about.
then once you get it uploaded, then you
Yes, and that's what he was saying. He's going to create a site with all that information there, give
And
them
then they
the
can
link
pull
to it. Yeah,
their
they can go there and
specific-
pull.
It usually takes me a couple hours for 3 minutes of video,
Really?
but you can just just
Send it
walk
right
off,
there.
and then once you got it, then it's instantaneous.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what he was talking about. So yeah, I'm very excited and happy with it. I think it turned out
looks
pretty
good.
neat.
It
Really
looks good.
showcases the
He's
diversity.
got some really good footage out there, and he's done
Yeah.
a good job of photographing the events that are going on there.
Yeah.
Did a good job.
Yeah, it's nice.
Helps considerably.
Yeah, that
Yes.
drone, yeah, that's.
So the drone, you're asking it can keep up with cars. That actually wasn't his drone. He crashed his drone that night at the car races. Luckily, nobody got hurt. It went crazy. It lost its brain or whatever and just took off and crashed.
Wow.
But there's a gentleman that comes out that's not part of us but he's one of the through the race car guy, Kevin, that he flies a racing drone over there and captures footage that keeps up. I don't know if they have a homing beacon in the car or what, but it keeps up with
Keeps
that
right
car.
up with the traffic.
So they actually shared some footage.
Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Oh,
As
good.
fast as the cars will
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Of course, those drones are quick too. I'll tell you what, those
They
things
are.
can move.
they are.
I mean, yeah.
And, and it might be something, I don't know liability wise if the county would want to take it on or not, but it might be something in the next couple of years if they cheapen it up enough that we should purchase ourselves to fly out there to get this type of footage ourselves. I don't know if we want to assume that liability or
Yeah.
not, but at what he charged us to do it this year and the good job he did, I think it was money very well spent. So
Absolutely.
So I got a question for you. We had the Four States Ag Expo. It was canceled, but this happens over and over again where people come and want a reduced rate from the county. And so have we ever did that? Give a reduced rate?
no, and I am adamantly against it. I am adamantly against giving one entity a reduced rate because it's not fair to all the other entities. So I'm very much so against that. If we're going to reduce a rate, I think it has to be reduced across the board. And I don't feel that we need to reduce a rate. I actually have some information here I compiled.
Put it right at the.
So there's some pretty
Yeah,
damning
we got-
information to look at.
Right.
Since I got hired, now granted the Ag Expo did go from 4 days to 3 days, so that reduced their amount. But since we've been there, we've drastically increased our service, starting in, yeah, there it goes. I think it was 2010, 2011. So it used to be, this is just specific to Ag Expo, that they would have to do all their setup and all their tear down, corral panels and such. I feel it's easier for us to do the setup. So what we do is the week before Ag Expo, we do all the setup for them with corral panels. And the reason we do that is then I can limit my employees on our hours, and try to not get so much comp time. And then also it gives us the option, because we never know whether it's going to be blowing dust or snow that time of year. So we get all of our work done, and then that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if we get a foot of snow,
You're
we
ready
can
to take
concentrate
care
on
of it,
plowing
yeah.
snow. Yeah. So it's just kind of thinking ahead. So we started doing that for them, and that's takes a lot off of their plate, us setting it up for them. And then on the tear down side of things, I require them to tear the panels down and lean them up somewhere, and then we haul them up ourselves. And I want to do that ourselves, so that way we don't damage the panels. You have 100 different people doing stuff, they're going to get damaged. So that was an increased service that we did for them. And at the same time, we have decreased our fees. So the parking lot, the large parking lot used to be $1,000 a day, which is too high in my opinion. We reduced it to $750 in 2010, and then again in 2014 we reduced it to $500. Now we did that in conjunction, so if you do the Fairgrounds, I can't remember what it's even called, large event fee, so it's $1,000 a day from the outdoor arena that way. And then if you want the large parking lot as well, it's an additional $500. So it's $1,500 for basically everything but the racetrack and the kitchen. And we've had some increased people use it. 12 Hours of Mesa Verde, they use it now, since it's not $1,000 a day, it's $500. So we're really talking kind of the same amount of money. But when you look at the amount of money on their bill, we've increased our services drastically to them, and we've decreased their bill every year. So I don't see any reason for any. I don't have any other entity complain about pricing.
Is there a way that, if they were coming for that, we need to just make it clear that there is no wiggle room.
Yeah.
It should never be an issue from now on. It should be, there is no wiggle room.
And I think this information spells that out to them. I don't know how anybody can complain when we've decreased their fees and increased our services to them, and provided a better facility with the upgrades we've done year after year.
But I think that from here on out, we just need to
That's
have,
it.
if somebody comes to Melissa and says, we'd like to get on the agenda to reduce the fee, there's already an answer.
And I think what they wanted to do was give you an overview and tell you all the wonderful things that they've done,
Well, and-
added, but then at this time they haven't had their board meeting, so actually I think they were refocusing and wanting to do it a little bit different, that they were premature. One person jumped ahead of the others and said, hey, let's we've been cut funding, so let's just jump in there, make sure, make an appeal to them, be the first to make an appeal
Do you know who
to the
that person was?
commissioners. I do.
Hello?
Lenetta.
So
And the other two call, and I've had two of the other ones call me and say, wait a minute, she got ahead of herself. So,
I don't think, has there been any other entities call and asking for a reduced fee or any complaints about
None that I
fees
know,
at the
none
fairgrounds?
But it
of
just
me.
seems like, once a year,
It's
twice
the
a
same
year,
entity.
it's,
and it just needs to be put to rest.
Yep. And like I said, I think this information, that's the reason I compiled all this. This shows
They're
that.
getting a good deal.
Yes.
If
There's
they
no
want
doubt about it.
to, if they want to reduce rate, then they need to go out and get a sponsor to pay with our rate.
There you go. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah. But I am, so you guys know I am adamantly, and I've been that way since the day I've been hired, it is the same across the board for every entity. And if you make one deviation once, you're done. You might as well
Well-
throw the cards in. You're done.
Or they're going to be at you. You're just
Absolutely.
Going to be
Absolutely.
at you every
And
time.
rightfully so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 So,
Let's make a deal. Let's go make a deal.
yeah.
well, the
It's same
deal's
for
not, there's
everybody.
no dealing
No
to be
deal.
done.
Same for
Right.
everybody.
Gotcha.
And then that's the fairest way to operate, especially a public facility. It has to be that way. So.
But there's a difference between the rates are less for
Youth.
youth.
Yeah, we already have a youth
You
rate.
already have
rate.
that established.
Yeah, we
so
have a
that's-
youth rate established
Right.
for, it's basically half the cost.
Right.
Now, we don't have a youth rate established for the overall facility because we've
Right.
never had a
'Cause they've
youth
never had to
entity
do that, yeah.
put on that large of an event. But our indoor arena is half price for a youth, our outdoor arena is half price for a youth, the kitchen is half price for a youth, and then all the other buildings as well are half price.
What do
for
they
a
consider the teammates? Is that adult or youth?
Youth.
Okay.
Youth, because it is all.
Because it's all
kids.
middle school, under 18
Yep.
participants. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I'm open to any
think you're
suggestions,
right.
but that's the way we've always done it, and I think that's the fairest straight across the board
Sure.
route to go. Like say you deviate one time and you're done. So, which rightfully so. I would be mad if I was an entity and somebody
Yeah,
got a
it for
reduced
half
fee for
price
wine.
and then you didn't get your shot at it, sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so
Because one of the
human
things
nature.
that did come up is Karen Sheik called and asked about philanthropy days
Mm-hmm.
and the facility that they have. So in that particular case, if we end up using that facility, then we, the commissioners will pay the fee, pay the
Well, why can't the
facility.
city? They had a 7% increase again in their tax revenue, and we have a 1.3 million decrease.
And
Why can't the
that's-
city pay it?
Well, and that, you know,
Maybe we need to ask them.
The one thing that hurts the fairgrounds overall is with there not being a sales tax in the county, we can't put a dollar figure as to what the fairgrounds brings in. It's in the
Right.
millions.
Well, sure it is.
But we can't put that dollar figure, so it's, the city is actually the main beneficiary of the facility. They help out a little, Cortez Retail Enhancement is an offshoot of the city, and they do quite a bit for a lot of our customers and such. But yeah, hopefully someday, not to be political by any means, but someday there will be a sales tax or something, and then we can attribute that and show what that facility actually brings in on a hard dollar figure, so.
as far as future goals or whatever, I mean, what's the next thing that you'd like to see improved?
So we're gonna apply for grants to redo the kitchens. Number one, we'll do that in April. And then also to purchase some of those solid-sided portable horse stalls. Those are the two things moving forward. The portable restroom trailer, it's a good idea, and I do want to do it in the future, but I've just kind of pushed it to the side where we've been shot down the last 2 years. I don't want to just spin my wheels, I want to move forward. The other thing, Larry that works out there's done a great job in the last couple of weeks. He's been installing all the new door latches that I've told you guys
push
about.
bars.
Yes, so those are working out great. The one thing that does kind of stink with them is the existing holes in the door. It doesn't cover them. So we have some holes there. So we're going to come up with some sort of a flashing to go
Plate
over
or
there and
something.
cover them.
Yeah.
But then the other thing we're worried about, because we have so many, especially in the winter months, every night, Monday through Friday, it's used after hours by a youth event or team roping. Well, before the doors were chain locked on the inside. So we didn't have to worry about somebody, leaving a door open to sneak back in or an accident or whatever. Well, now with the doors the way these are, if one kid goes out to goof around or do something and then comes back in and that door doesn't latch all the way, we're exposed and somebody can get in the building. So we have some holes below the exit apparatus that we're actually going to put some eye bolts in. And we can't lock them, but we're going to just do chains and snaps.
Sure.
And that way we'll chain and snap them every night. If somebody is in there for some reason
They can get
and
out.
there's a fire,
Yeah, they
they
can
have
get
an
out.
exit device to get out. And now it's easier for us when we walk through and clear the
look
doors at
and see.
night. Yeah, yeah. Just to, takes that accident waiting to happen out of it. So I think that'll work well.
Pretty simple solution to
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. So we just have to come up with, the flashing to kind of pretty it up, because right now there are holes and there's no way around it. So,
It's a whole different closing system,
Yes.
so, yeah.
yes. I should have taken some pictures and brought them in. I'll bring them in on the next meeting, so.
Just one other thing about the Boy Still. The reason I say this is so it's kind of like the gentleman that does Red Rock, or what do they call that? Bob Lander.
Oh, Bob Landry?
Bob Landry, in my opinion, being a marketing owner of an auction company, so Josiah is getting into this marketing scene. And so what we're going to hear Josiah's voice over and over again on all different things, just kind of like we do Bob Landry, and then it kind of just blends in together, and you don't stand out.
Okay.
Where if it's your voice or somebody that works for the county, it's going to stand out, and when they hear Josiah speaking, they're not gonna associate whatever other commercial
Identify.
he's doing.
Okay.
But that's why I think it's important that you have your own unique voice for your
Yeah.
commercial.
And we can do that. I'd never
Yeah,
even
you
thought
might,
about
you
it,
might
to be
talk
honest.
to Josiah and see if you could go
Josiah.
back and just dub in your audio track on that. You could read the same script that he had, just with your
I mean, Bob Landry can
narration
do
of it.
Ford and he can do Chevy, and you
Yeah.
don't know the difference because it's
Yeah.
the same
Same
voice
voice.
over and over again.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you guys would like that, I mean, I can do that.
Check with
Probably
him.
get over my cold first. But yeah, if that's
Nothing
what
against
you
his
guys would like.
voice.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I'm just
nothing.
saying.
But it identifies Tanner with the fairgrounds, and I think there's some merit to that. I think there's definite merit to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So sounds
See,
good.
if he said it's going to cost $5,000 to get
Hey,
your
well,
voice in there, we may wait up just. a
I would
bit.
imagine
Yeah,
it'd
yeah.
just be a couple $100
Yeah,
just in
just some
editing time.
re-recording. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds
Right.
good.
Thank you, Tanner.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanner.
Yep.
All right, we have Rick Torres for the Veterans Monthly Report.
I'm kind of more partial to the female voice myself.
We kind of figured that.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you. Yeah.
Actually,
That
on a
kind of
side-
sultry
Yeah.
type is, yeah.
Well, when I was working in the Marine Corps, the computer systems on the airplanes when there was a fire,
Oh,
it's
dear.
a female voice. Warning, fire.
Yeah.
So in case the fire didn't catch the pilot's, attention, the female voice
The female voice
caught
certainly
the
would.
pilot's
Yeah.
But I asked, why is it a female voice? They're like, well, it catches the pilot's attention. Okay.
Yeah. That's great.
Those aviators, I don't know about those guys.
Yeah, they've been up that thin altitude.
Actually, I didn't
too
bring
long.
one for him. He's high tech, he uses the computer. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. This is the report for last month.
And then, since you're the chair now, you sign it, and then I'll make it.
We have a new chairman, Commissioner.
Oh,
Roberts, the
yes.
chairman.
All right. Congratulations.
I don't know if I know how to do
For
this.
condolence.
Chairman of Beals, yeah.
I would like to move that the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs monthly report and certification of pay for December 2017 be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. We'll go ahead and get that up to the state level.
Mm-hmm.
On our report for last year, we're going to start with 2016's numbers. In December of 2016, we had 228 vets or clients come through our office, whereas last month I had 187. It was a decrease of 41 visitors over December of 2016. We had 13 new visitors come through our office. What I can attribute that reduction in numbers, well, obviously, thank you. Obviously, it's the holidays. Also, I did take the 2 days off. Actually, I took the whole week off where we had Christmas and New Year's. Those 2 days, I took them off. So a lot of times when people come in during the holidays or during the week, if they see a line of people, they'll tend to walk away. But I did take those 2 days off. So we had a little bit of a decrease, but overall, you'll see in the end, we did have an increase over 2017, over 2016. That brings us down to years in review. I always like to show the commission from 2013, when I first came on board, we had 1,033 clients that year, and then progressively every year, I won't bore you with the numbers, but they're there. You can see a steady increase. And I was kind of shocked. We actually went up, I think it was by 53 clients over the previous year. Mm-hmm. So, we're still getting the word out through the three organizations, through Facebook, through community events throughout the year, outreach events. Anywhere there's an activity and I get invited to, I usually do attend. We get the word out on what we're doing. So we did
I'd just like to say, Rick, those stats are amazing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we like to see an increase, and honestly, if we can get us to 3,000 plus in the coming years, that'll be great. I haven't paid attention so much to the census. I think the last one they did was 2010, and so the next one they'll start doing that here soon. So I don't really know what our population overall for the county is, and the breakdown for vets today is. But assuming that the population goes up overall over the next census, and we have an increase of vets, great. If our population's going down, but yet I'm seeing an increase in veterans like we're doing, I'm happy about that. But I think a lot of what you're seeing there is because we're in this Four Corners area, we do get people from Utah come in, Arizona. So, I do tend to get clients from outside the state, but that's not the majority of our clients. The majority are Montezuma County vets. So we're excited about that. When you look at January through December of 2016, monthly income, we had $106,000 in new monthly income in 2016. When you look at this past year, we had $130,000 a month. That comes out to, a $24,500 and some change increase per month. When you multiply that, when you look at it yearly, in 2016 we had 1.28 coming in. Now we're at 1.564. Again, those are static numbers, assuming that everybody lives, nobody moves, everything stays the same, which we know is not going to happen. People come, people go. But at the end of last month, we looked at 130,000 in new income coming in. And that, if you can imagine, well, I think in October, I showed the commission 2016, 15, 14, how those numbers every year. So that does impact the economy. And we're always excited about that. Like I say, these guys and gals go out and they buy new cars, and they pay off loans and mortgages. And so we're excited about that. When you look at retro payments, little over $750,000 last year in back pay. These guys and gals this year, they got $818,000 in back pay. Truly excited about that because that just shows up in these folks' direct deposit, and we do find out about it because I look at the pay screens. So we're gonna keep at it. We have I have to go to training in April. I've already started doing the reservations and figuring out how to get up to my training in April. Don't really have much else to pass other than to let the commissioners know, and I didn't put it on here. Project Outreach, which is used to be right back here behind the bank. They weren't buying there. They were leasing. What they did was they needed, or they've also, let me back up. They've had an increase in clients coming into them. Veterans go over there. They do job searches. They read books. They go on the internet. Some of them get assistance through like gas cards and food cards. But they've seen an increase in business as well. And I want to let the commissioners know that they've moved from this location behind Four Corners over here to, let me see, it's 432 North Broadway. They had like a soft opening, but they're going to do a grand opening later on when it gets warmer. Plus they're going to do some interior remodeling. I don't know the old building. I think, let me think, Lawrence, what's the name? It's a hearing center. There's a hearing.
Oh, where Thomas Engineering was? Oh,
Yeah.
the barbershop.
Right next
Yes.
to,
Is
right
that
next
barbershop still
to
there?
hospice. It's just
Yeah, right next to hospice.
The little wedge that comes
Yes,
down
it's
the
like a
road, the
wedge
little
building. So they're going to be right there. Correct. I went over to their meeting on Friday. They had a DAV meeting. They had their meeting in there. So yeah, and I think that's a good thing. That's another agency in town also helping vets. And for the commissioner, in case they didn't know, the VFW out of Mancos, they sold their building, and it was in the newspaper. A gentleman and his wife bought it, and they're into restoring old buildings and whatnot.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, it was in the newspaper. So the Opera House, and so the VFW sold that building, and what they're doing is, and for members of the public, so they can also help get the word out, they're having their meetings instead of in Mancos, they're having them up here at the Cultural Center on North Market, and that's the first Thursday of every month. So a couple of little changes going on here and there. But as far as the status, and keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on with veterans. It's still very active. The three organizations, VFW, DAV, American Legion, they're still very active. They're kind of reorganizing and restructuring, and and they've moved here and there, but we're all still pretty active in helping our veteran community and their spouses. So
That's what we got you for.
yeah, it's pretty much what's going on. So I mean, in our own little world, there, the veterans, like busy little bees. I guess I didn't put it on there because I just found out about it this morning. But there's an agency. It's called Veterans Homestead Project. They're having a beekeeping class in Durango's VFW. The gal approached me this morning, and they're going to try to have one in Cortez for beekeeping. So veterans can go for free. Non-veterans, I think it's going to be like a $10 fee to learn how to do beekeeping. So that's pretty interesting. So,
That's the only trucks that the Port of Entry won't inspect.
really, bees?
Is that right, or beehives?
Yeah, because when they stop the truck,
Yeah,
then they start flying out. Yeah. So if you ever want to run the port,
You
just
want
tell them, when they ask you what you're hauling,
Yeah, yeah.
bees.
And the
want to
bees
be a
can't.
smuggler, you do it under the beehive.
Then the bees wouldn't be able to catch up to the truck. You'd have rogue bees out there. But other than that, I mean, unless the commission has any questions, that's pretty much it. We're just going to keep chugging along and doing the best we can to help our vets and their families.
I just hope you're never gonna. I keep thinking you're gonna run out of veterans one of these days. You're gonna come in and say, "Well, we've got them all signed up. They're all
Yeah,
there." But
I thought too, but that's not
Yeah,
going to
not gonna
happen.
happen,
I've
yeah.
even had some of these vets here that their kids are in the military, and I always kind of coach them of what they might want to tell their
Yeah.
kids to make sure they're doing before they get home,
Yeah, there you go.
to help them so that when they get out of the military,
Yeah.
they can access their benefits, whether it's
Gotcha.
education, disability, or healthcare. So, and
yeah,
well, no, I'm always excited to talk to actual military people
yeah.
or people that are on active duty. So.
Well, you're doing our.
Well, we're
county a
trying.
great
We
job.
sure
You're
are
doing a great
trying.
job here.
You can tell,
Yeah.
John, Sarah, and I, we love what we do, and we thank you for all the support
Yeah.
and all the best for 2018. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can get those pesky muscles.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm learning.
You need a fish that eats them.
Yeah, we need something. to
There's
eat.
got to be something.
Boy,
There's got to be something.
Wish there were, but they don't have it yet, man. They don't have it yet.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Rick.
Have a good year.
You too.
Next up, we have this resolution. One, I believe that the administrator would like to enlighten us on what this is about.
This, yeah. Actually, I think I have it here. Thought I did.
What the resolution is about is, so you recall, that
Release.
the SO wanted to join this FCPA retirement system and leave CORA, or CCOERA.
Yeah, CORA.
And so we got word, I don't know, right around the holidays, late
Mhm.
December, that their vote passed. They needed 65%. Sounds like they got 70 or something like that. They re-voted. It failed initially, and I guess they tried again, and it passed this time.
One of the things that they did is they changed the definition of officers. It's all employees of the sheriff's office, and it has to do with the technicality that even if you're clerical,
But not
you
have to
are
be
sworn.
post-certified.
You don't have to be post-certified. Originally, it was post-certified, and now it's covers the jail people and all the office staff too. So anybody who's employed by
Put them
them.
over the top.
Yeah, and so they are sworn to uphold the rules of the sheriff's office, Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. So that definition has changed.
So what's the next step?
So the next step is for the entire county employer, right, everybody that's employed by Montezuma County, to now vote, and we also have to meet that same threshold to allow them to leave. And that's a rule that CORA has, that we agreed to back when we signed up for CORA. And so, Melissa's probably more familiar with exactly when we're hoping to do this, but we need to set up a vote. CORA's going to kind of coordinate it. They've got the right to come down and offer education to Montezuma County employees on why they should or shouldn't vote for this, to allow the sheriff's office to leave. So they want to do that very soon. And then if in fact the county employees vote to allow them to leave, we have to give CORA, I think, 90 days.
90
notice.
days.
And that's essentially what this resolution says. We didn't draft it, we didn't create it, but
We edited it, we cut it down. Because they repeated the same thing twice.
I changed a lot of words in it. So they created it, we drafted it. But that's essentially what this thing says.
And if the sheriff's employees withdraw from the SCORE plan, it doesn't hurt the rest of the employees of Montezuma County.
So, I don't know that it does. But
From
you're
what
right,
I
the
under,
person-
basically what it is CORA is a defined contribution plan that you contribute 5% and the county matches 5%. What FPPA is a defined benefit plan. It's kind of like PERA that the school districts have. After so many years of service and age and all that kind of stuff, then they get a benefit for life. What happens with CORA is however much money is in there. If I have $50,000, $100,000 in that retirement, then I choose when I retire how I'm going to spread that out and take it out. And when it's gone, it's gone. So the difference is the benefit part, that as long as they're living, they get a benefit there. Just a difference in philosophy. I think a lot of it has to do with, there also is a 5-year vesting schedule with FPPA where we're 100% vested immediately.
So maybe for the older sheriff's members, they might be against it because it takes 5 years if they're about to leave, is my superficial understanding of it. But I'm more concerned with, if the SO wants to go, my personal opinion is go. But my bigger concern is that maybe Melissa can help answer for you all, for the public, is financially though. What does it do?
It's the same. In the end, it starts with a smaller amount, and I don't remember with that resolution that we had before, starts with 4.37% and it grows up a little bit. But financially, in the end, it's still the same percentage, 5% with a 5% match. It'll never be over the 10%. So financially, it doesn't make any difference which way, whether the money's funneled to CORA or to FPPA, and then it's up to them on how they direct their funds. And I don't know if they direct their own funds or if it's a.
I don't either.
I don't
remember
know.
And that's kind of like a club. You have to be a firefighter, policeman to get in this FPPA. So it's structured. I remember doing this for the fire department, the employees of the fire department and the volunteers, that they wanted FPPA as their retirement, and those are the only people that can get in it. It's not. It's like your PERA. It's a select group, a very defined group of people that can be involved in this. So.
And what we're kind of looking at is potentially, if we sign this resolution today, having her come do trainings. I can't remember if we're going to do the 23rd and 24th or the 30th and 31st. Mm-hmm. And then there has to be a 20-day window for people to decide what they want to do. The other thing that I did ask them to do is give us a window, a voting window. And it's for all employees who are currently in CORA, of which you are all members. We've got people who are not full-time or people who are, and there's a 6-month waiting period. So of the 200 employees that the county has, probably 140, 150 will be eligible. So what we're going to do is set that, I think that voting thing is going to be February, probably right in here, in a 20-day, where we'll actually have a list, and people are going to have to come to our office and.
So will they vote there, or will they vote?
They'll vote. Well, I figured it'd be easier for us just to have them come to our office. There's going to be a lockbox that Kim will do the tally, but so that people aren't trying to mix in with the office duties that they do. We'll have a master list. And you'll just come in and sign. You'll be given a ballot, and you just put it in the box. The box will be locked. Nobody can get into it until it's finished, and then Kim's election judges will do the tally.
And you'll have the key to the box?
No, I won't. Only Kim. And the other side of what we have too is after 2 days, those who haven't, we have to have at least a 65% of eligible members to say yes for it to happen. So, I mean, if only 50% of the people vote and they all vote yes, it's not enough. So on that third day, we can contact the people and call them and say, hey, you haven't come in, to vote, so that because we don't want to do it twice.
Yeah.
So if I was Cora, wouldn't I be coming down here and saying, well, you shouldn't?
Right.
Because
That's what they're gonna probably come down and do.
they're losing business.
Correct.
But at the same time, their job is to just explain the difference between this plan and that plan. Of course, you work for the company that you
Sure.
feel,
And you're gonna try and
is-
paint as pretty a picture as you can, but.
but
And there's apparently members of the SO that don't want to go, the older ones, I guess, that are saying, wait, this isn't gonna help us.
Right.
Um,
Especially when they have to wait 5 years to be vested in the FPPA.
But one of the things that they do have is the money that's in Cora can stay in Cora. The loans,
that's
the
what I was
loans that they have
Taken
with
out
Cora
against it, yeah.
will stay with Cora, and they still. So if you had a loan taken out on your retirement, as long as you're still employed by Montezuma County, those payments will still be the same. They're not penalizing anybody who has a loan and saying now you have to pay it off or anything like that.
Wow, that's.
But at the same time, although they're not contributing to Cora anymore, the sheriff's office employees are not allowed to withdraw those funds because they're still employed by Montezuma County. Their new money's going to a different place. And until they separate employment with Montezuma County, they cannot have money from either one. So it won't affect them. The money that they have after a 1-year waiting period, the money that you've accumulated in Cora, you can roll over into buy your years of service, over here, but you don't have to. They can leave it.
And then after you leave the county, do you have to be a certain age before you can draw that money out?
There's a penalty if you draw it out before you're 59 and a half. And that's an IRS penalty. So, and it can sit there. It can sit there till you choose to draw it out. You just won't be an active employee contributing anymore.
Can you still, as an employee, well, you're an ex-employee, can you still control the money as far as what you
I
invest
know,
in?
I believe you can. I mean,
I think
for
that's a plan
instance,
that's
if your
defined.
terms were up and and you're not 59 and a half, you can wait till you're 59 and a half to draw that money out.
I fit in that category.
Yeah, so I think you'd still be able to operate under the plan that you set up when you were the employee and direct it however you wanted. Yeah.
So if the 65% vote to let the SO leave, then Cora we'd give them notice, and Cora redrafts up a new plan that's all county employees that doesn't include the SO, and we have to enter into a new plan, a new contract with them, basically.
So it's a seamless, this is what our current plan is, and the day that this expires, this one comes in, and so there's no lack of coverage for the other employees. And in the end, I mean, to me, it's which plan is better. Obviously, if you're younger and you can get a better, defined benefit one, that's a good deal.
No, when you get a guarantee, when you're looking at a guarantee for life, a guaranteed amount of money for as long as you live, that can be very attractive.
But it's a little bit harder to get the vesting and things like that because
right,
it's
you've got to pay it on the front end. Yeah, you pay it on the front end, right?
so.
Yeah, there's always gives and takes on both those, and I guess the sheriff's department has decided they think that's the better plan for them, and so
How good the money management is.
True.
And like that, I do think, with para, because I've got para experience, you do have bands of, they still have their certain money managers, and they manage the money and how that goes, but you can put it in a riskier section or not, and I would assume that they would have the same thing here.
I don't like that. As my granddad said, nobody cares about your money as much as you do. I invest my own money in Dennis and mine, yes, double. Thank you, Trump.
With FPPA, you don't have any
I don't know.
There's a reason those people have Rolls Royces. Those money managers, they make millions. To take a guess at what you can take a guess at.
Yeah.
And that's all it is a guess.
But they're more educated guessers
Yeah.
than you are.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
But you're right. You're right. They're still guessing.
So I think it's, it's going
How
to
do
be.
you feel about this, Melissa? How do you feel about it?
If it's a better deal for them.
Yeah. It's no skin off our nose.
No, it makes no difference. I mean, personally as a person or as the county administrator, I mean, whether we're going to this one or that one, if they feel that there's a better benefit for them to have this, then I support it,
Could somebody, let me ask you this, if the sheriffs, if we pass this resolution and the county employees vote and say, yes, the sheriff can depart from our investment package, if there's somebody in the sheriff's department that doesn't want to go with FPPA, can they stay with their stuff?
No, because they will be
I'm a little
exempted
bit-
from not being, they cannot.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, I don't know that I like that. If they're being forced into this, and obviously they didn't have 100% participation.
It was, I think 2 people did not vote. It was a 70% pass.
That's just barely over the.
It's
required
over the
minimum, isn't it?
65.
So I'm just not sure that I'm really set on forcing people out there in the sheriff's department into a retirement plan that they don't want.
You have a vote. You can vote.
I guess so. I guess that's how I do that, isn't it, John? Yeah. Okay.
And that's the thing that they have, is it was a vote. It was, each one of them were counseled individually, and obviously for one reason or another, an age, being, looking at 5 years or less, those are probably the people who voted no. I don't know. I can't,
Would make sense, yeah.
because it didn't make sense for them, but the younger ones.
Looks more attractive.
And what is, so Cora, they're going to come and give us a presentation?
We're going to have 8 different meetings. It'll last about 45 minutes, and then we're going to stagger them about every 2 hours. Here, there, road, excuse me, landfill. We'll have 8 different ones. They wanted it to be mandatory that employees had to come, and we said it was may attend.
You're invited to attend. Yeah.
But I think, if we have, to be fair to them, we need to hear the pros and cons.
Give the option to. If you want to say, I don't care, I'm not going to vote, I'm not ready to.
Although if you choose not to vote, I'll be calling you and saying, you haven't come in to vote, would you please do so? Because otherwise it invalid, if we don't get at least, so it has to be a 65%
of the
of the eligible employees say yes.
Right.
If
it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. So you don't have to give it another shot.
And I don't think you're
No.
going to have a problem with politicians not voting.
So it'll be good, it's what they feel they've requested. And it's nothing to keep the county clerks to decide they want to go to the National Clerks Retirement Association, and we do the same thing, potentially we've opened the door that makes that potential if there's a retirement for those specifically,
And it falls in that the sheriff is the master of his own ship out there. He's not a county employee. He is, but he's not. He's an elected official, and he gets to call his own shots out there.
But the county still
right. We still have
has the strings for the budget.
Right.
And this is we're talking about money.
Right.
And in the same, financially, there's no difference in what it costs the county.
So shall we rethink, Commissioner?
I guess we better vote on it, haven't we? Okay, I will move the resolution number 1-2018, authorizing the countywide election regarding whether sworn employees of the county sheriff's office may withdraw from the county's CCOERA retirement plan.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, first I better repeat that. The motion been made to approve resolution number 1-2018, a resolution authorizing a countywide election regarding whether the sworn employees of the county sheriff's office may withdraw from the county's CCOERA retirement. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Let's see how the election goes.
Guess we all have to sign this one.
Yeah.
We'll have lots of information about where and when those meetings are and when and where to vote, and get friendly reminder calls. You get one from me, you get one from Billy, you get one from Phaedra. So we drag you in here.
Well, is there going to be any campaigning? Are we going to see the sheriff's department guys out with vote yes on property? Are we going
Hopefully, I don't know. I don't think
That's
it's
really more, I mean, the SO's prerogative to harass people to get in there to vote. I mean,
Yep.
I don't think it's.
Well, I think the biggest part for me is to at least let everybody know as much as possible, so that they have a choice.
Yep.
All right, we have an abstract for the land purchase.
Well, what it really should be called is just the contract for the land
Contract.
purchase with Four Corners Community Bank. And what we put on it was actually for Melissa to sign it, since I didn't know who our chairperson was going to be. They actually sent it initially with Larry Don's signature line, and I said, you know what, I'll just let Melissa do it. I'll let the commissioners vote on it.
Yeah.
So this is the contract for those two little parcels of land for $20,000. It's a lot of it is inapplicable in here, or it's just kind of a standard draft arbitrary contract. You know, it talks about earnest money, which isn't applicable. There was no earnest money involved. It talks about HOAs, homeowner association stuff. None of that is applicable. It does say in here, and this is what this came from the realtor, that they're going to provide us with a special warranty deed. I didn't object to that, but I was kind of thinking they just give us a quick claim deed to it. Special warranty deed means that they're giving us certain assurances and warranties on title and stuff like that. We already did our own title research and don't see any issues with it. They actually just purchased it pretty recently.
Repoed it, you mean?
Or, okay, repoed it.
Oreoed it, yeah.
And so it does include with, on top of that 20 grand, the county paying the $1,200 realty fees.
The commission?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The bank insisted on a net of 20 grand to them.
Yeah.
We only let him know.
I thought
We'll
you
leave
all
that.
knew that. I thought you all knew that already. So yeah, it does.
She's the perfect
So-
fit.
Find a way to get that back.
So don't agree to have Melissa sign this if you don't agree to that. And it's a pretty quick turnaround. Basically, the closing would be in a week.
Where is the land?
It's got the description written on it,
It's
but
there, Pleasant View Fire Station,
You
it's
okay?
just north of the
Yeah.
fire station.
Yeah.
Oh, out by Areola?
No,
Pleasant
Pleasant
View.
View.
I moved to,
I have a map of it if I can show you.
Okay.
I moved to approve the purchase of the land at Highway 491 Pleasant View.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, I guess, sorry.
been moved and seconded to purchase the land from which bank?
First
Four Corners
Southwest,
Community.
or Four Corners Community.
Four Corners Community.
Four Corners Community Bank, located in Pleasant View. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right, we'll adjourn for lunch. Mr. Lambert will take over the chairmanship. I'm gonna deed it.
We're gonna deed you out of here. Right up the deed for him this afternoon, would you, John?